Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Villain. Many children bring blessings, the heroines are broken. Chapter 81. Near noon, the two walked out of the Love Hotel. Shu Liang was as calm as usual. Li Xiaoming walks a little unnaturally, as if she has sprains in her feet. Just as he was about to go for dinner, he suddenly received a message and Shu Liang changed his plan. After saying something to Li Xiaoming, he left in the car. Sources indicate that one of his women may be pregnant. Shu Liang is particularly concerned about the heroine's pregnancy. He specifically ordered his subordinates to report to him immediately if there was any situation in this regard. Seeing Shu Liang leaving him alone, Li Xiaoming's eyes were filled with resentment. I tormented myself so much last night that it is now difficult for me to walk. But she's not the kind of woman who doesn't care. Shu Liang is the eldest son of the Shu family and the president of the Shu group. Isn't it normal to be busy? If she knew, Shu Liang is going to meet another woman. I wonder if he will be so angry that he will feel pain. Shu Liang took a car all the way to Xingfu community. As soon as I got out of the car, a pretty woman with short hair and smartly dressed came up to me. Son, tell me what's going on. After saying this, Shu Liang walked straight forward without stopping. The pretty woman followed, always half a step behind. In the past 2 days, I noticed that something was wrong with Su Wanqing. She would retching from time to time. I went to the drugstore to buy a pregnancy test stick last night. I didn't go to the company all morning. I stayed in my room in a daze. The possibility of pregnancy is 90%. Through the various performances of the heroine, she can basically be sure. The reason why I say 90% possibility is because I am cautious about my work. Su Wanqing, the eldest daughter of the Su family. The Su family has assets worth several billion, so it can be considered a good family. But in the big city of Magic City, tens of billions of families are everywhere, and there are even hundreds of billions of big families. The Su family seems a bit insignificant. In order to give the Su family a better future, they also chose to marry. Su Wanqing naturally became the target of marriage. I have to say that this eldest lady of the Su family is a ruthless person. She didn't want to become a victim of her family, so she found someone to get a marriage certificate. Not long after, they even had children. This made the Su family very angry. He severed ties with her on the spot and suppressed her from all aspects. When Shu Liang met her a few months ago, she lived with her daughter in a dilapidated house. It's like a doghouse. Life is miserable, living without enough food or warmth all day long. Seeing this scene, Shu Liang felt a little familiar. It was similar to the plots of some novels. It seems that although the mother and daughter live a hard life, they can still manage to survive. Shu Liang felt that the level was not enough and it had not reached the point of despair. With a thought, someone bribed the dominatrix-like landlady and landlady. From then on, her attitude towards Amelia Su and her daughter became even worse, with all kinds of ridicule and humiliation. We even actually found a kennel for them to live in. Just when mother and daughter were desperate, Shu Liang appeared. It was like a ray of light pulling them out of the darkness. Not only did he help them teach the dominatrix boss lady a lesson, but he also allowed them to live in a high-end community. Wearing clothes that others cannot afford, eating delicious food that others cannot afford. Mother and daughter were very grateful to him. Su Wanqing has enjoyed this kind of upper-class life since she was a child, without too many troubles. In order to be free, she can avoid family marriage. No matter how hard her life is, she can endure it. Just seeing her daughter's happy look, she softened her heart and did not refuse Shu Liang's help. I am not afraid that you will accept it, but I am afraid that you will not want anything. The next thing will be easier to handle. After a lot of greetings, Su Wanqing gradually fell into despair. Later, Shu Liang asked someone to secretly reveal this matter to the Su family. Seeing that Su Wanqing not only did not suffer, but also lived a good life. The Su family suddenly became angry and furious. How can you live such a good life? You should be living in hell. I will make your life worse than your original life. No one can help you, not even Jesus comes. These words stunned both mother and daughter. Being pulled from hell into heaven, life is easy to get used to. When she was pulled from heaven to hell again, even Amelia Su couldn't accept it. Not to mention a 5-year-old daughter. Mother and daughter fell into despair again, and Shu Liang once again stepped out as a hero to save the beauty. When they saw that it was Shu Liang who was helping them, the Su family were dumbfounded. He quickly retracted his previous words and said that Su Wanqing would always be the eldest lady of the Su family and would never force her to marry again. Are you kidding me? With Shu Liang here, what kind of marriage is needed? Whether their Su family can rise is just a matter of a word from the other party. Su Wanqing felt a little dreamy. Unexpectedly, the person who helped them turned out to be the eldest son of the Shu family. Now she was respectfully invited back to the family, and everyone was trying to please her in every possible way. You heard me right, please. Gave her unparalleled respect. Her mood fluctuated greatly, and she was already unprepared for Shu Liang, so she got drunk that night. Everything came naturally. Shu Liang achieved his wish and brought Su Wanqing into the family. However, looking at the red mold on the quilt, he fell into deep thought. Didn't Su Wanqing have a daughter? She was married, so why was it her first time? Then, Su Wanqing told him the reason. Everything was a disguise arranged by her. In order to avoid marriage, she found someone to marry, and her daughter was adopted from an orphanage. The two had no relationship. She didn't even let that person touch her at all. After breaking off relations with the Su family, she drove that person away. For several years, she hadn't seen him again. Shu Liang asked the man's name curiously. Zhang Tianxi. Shu Liang. Tianxi. A perfect name for the protagonist. I don't know when the return of the god of war will be staged. What if he came back and found that his wife and daughter were intercepted by him? Originally planning to investigate, Shu Liang changed his mind and decided to focus on conquering the heroine. No matter what kind of war god returns, as long as his family members are large enough, they will all fall before him. At this time, Shu Liang had already taken the elevator and arrived at the door of Su Wanqing's house. The pretty woman following behind him bowed slightly, took out the key, opened the door and entered the house opposite. There are only 2 households on one floor in this community. Opposite the heroine's house is the bodyguard he arranged. Of course, the purpose is to facilitate better protection and surveillance. In the beautifully decorated living room, a girl about 5 years old, with a delicate appearance like a porcelain doll, is sitting on the sofa watching cartoons. Pleasant goat and big wolf. Beautiful goat. Boiling goat, can you eat more politely? Boiling goat. Sorry, I won't do this next time. Pleasant goat, can you eat more politely? Beautiful goat. It doesn't matter, boys are called heroic like this. Boiling goat. Bang bang. At this moment, the door was knocked. Xiao, go open the door. A mature and pleasant voice came from the kitchen. The little girl named Xiao got off the sofa, came to the door obediently, and opened the door on tiptoe. Seeing Shu Liang outside, the little girl was stunned for a moment, and then shouted with joy. Brother, I thought it was the little sister next door, but I didn't expect that the person who came was her favorite brother, and I couldn't help but be happy. Shu Liang smiled slightly and picked her up. Xiao, do you miss me? Xiao nodded her head and answered without hesitation. Of course I do. Xiao misses me every day, daytime, nighttime, and even in dreams. After Xiao finished speaking, she pouted and rubbed Shu Liang's face to show how much she missed him. The little girl had been suffering with Su Wanqing. Ever since she changed the lives of her mother and daughter, she has been very dependent on Shu Liang. If it weren't for the fact that she had to capture other heroines, it wouldn't be a problem for her to call him daddy. Mom, come out, brother is here. Su Wanqing, wearing an apron, came out of the kitchen. Her face was beautiful, delicate and flawless, and her eyes were shining, as if she could see through people's hearts. Even after several years of suffering, her skin did not lose its luster and remained as white as snow. At this time, she was wearing an apron and dressed like a housewife, and she really had the taste of a wife. However, when she saw Shu Liang holding her daughter, she froze in place. Mom, what's wrong with you? Are you not happy that your brother is here? Seeing Su Wanqing standing there in a daze, Xiao was a little confused. In the past, when her brother came, her mother was just like her, very excited. Why is it a little strange today? Su Wanqing came back to her senses, forced herself to stay calm, and asked. The meal is just ready. Have you eaten? No. Is it okay to add a pair of bowls and chopsticks? Shu Liang replied with a smile. Looking at Su Wanqing like this, it seems that she has no intention of telling him about her pregnancy. Or, she hasn't thought about how to tell him. That's right, with divine medical skills, he knew that Su Wanqing was pregnant the first time he saw her. Shu Liang's smile was a little playful. It depends on how soon you tell it. Of course it's okay, Xiao Xiao will help brother get the bowls and chopsticks. Xiao Xiao cheered and rushed into the kitchen immediately. The mother and daughter have a clear division of labor. Su Wanqing brought the food, and Xiao Xiao was responsible for getting the bowls and chopsticks. 3 dishes and 1 soup, although they are home-cooked dishes, they are fragrant and taste good. It seems that the hard days of the past few years have not been in vain. Shu Liang mentioned finding a nanny for them, but was rejected by Su Wanqing. Over the years, she and her daughter have been dependent on each other, and for a while, she was not used to having outsiders interfere in their lives. Except Shu Liang. He did not force it. There were bodyguards around, so there was no need to worry about their safety. Brother, eat it. During the meal, Xiao Xiao picked up the chopsticks and put the food in his bowl. Shu Liang smiled and also picked up a piece for her. Xiao Xiao, eat it too. Seeing her brother picking up food for her, Xiao Xiao's eyebrows curved into crescents, and the smile on her face became brighter. Su Wanqing ate silently with the bowl. Looking at the scene of the father and daughter being filial in front of her, she was relieved and a little jealous. She was relieved because Shu Liang did not dislike Xiao Xiao for being an adopted daughter. Jealous because she found that Xiao Xiao was closer to Shu Liang than to herself, and she felt that the little cotton jacket was leaking air. She was a little complicated and touched her belly. It seemed that Shu Liang liked children very much, but I didn't know what she thought of the children born to them. It was precisely because she didn't know Shu Liang's attitude that she didn't dare to tell him about her pregnancy. Su Wanqing liked children very much and decided to give birth to the child, otherwise she wouldn't have adopted Xiao Xiao. What if Shu Liang asked her to abort the child? Just as she was thinking about it, a small exclamation came from the side. Really? Brother is free today, can you accompany me and mom? Shu Liang rubbed her head and said with a smile. Of course, tell your brother where you want to go, and I will play with you to your heart's content today. Xiao Xiao cheered immediately. However, she did not ask Shu Liang to accompany her to any fun places. After suffering for several years with Su Wanqing, the children of poor families have grown up early, and she matured earlier than her peers. In the afternoon, Shu Liang brought the mother and daughter to the playground. Children like this kind of place more. This can be regarded as an alternative upbringing. Su Wanqing didn't want to go, and she didn't know how to face Shu Liang now. But she couldn't resist Xiao Xiao's coquetry. The 3 walked in the entertainment venue. Handsome men and beautiful women, and a little girl who looks like a porcelain doll, just like a family of 3, the rate of turning back is 100%. So handsome, Mom, I'm in love, is that his girlfriend? Even has a child. Mom, I'm heartbroken again. Looks so young, how come he even has a child? The whole family is so good looking, the little girl is so pretty, she must be a beauty when she grows up. Quote. Listening to the discussions around, Su Wanqing's cheeks were hot and a little embarrassed. Although she didn't know how many poses she had unlocked with Shu Liang, her age was there, several years older than Shu Liang. There was always a feeling of an old cow eating tender grass. Next, Shu Liang took the mother and daughter to start various projects, and Xiao Xiao had a lot of fun. Happy times are always short. Unknowingly, an afternoon passed. Xiao Xiao was very happy, and the smile on her face never stopped. In her heart, mom and brother are her closest people. Going to the playground together is something she dared not dream of. Su Wanqing also felt happy. In the past, when Shu Liang came to see her, he would talk about it later, but instead he came to see her someday, visiting the garden and admiring the chrysanthemums. Although it was fulfilling and satisfying, it always felt like something was missing. Just as the 3 of them were returning home, a dramatic scene was unfolding on the other side. Ren Shanshan, you are going too far. The engagement was agreed upon by the 2 families. Now that we are about to get married, the news has been announced. If you break off the engagement now, how will our family situation be embarrassed? In the coffee shop, a tall, rather ugly young man stared angrily at the woman in front of him. The woman has a beautiful face, fair skin, and a curvy figure. Coupled with her behavior of sipping coffee at this time, she shows dignity and elegance. Ren Shanshan put down her coffee cup with an indifferent expression. I'm not here to discuss with you, I'm here to inform you that our marriage must be cancelled. After a pause, she continued. As for the impact on your family's reputation, I'm sorry. The 100,000 in this card is considered compensation. As she spoke, she took out a bank card and put it on the table. For a migrant worker, 100,000 is a lot. Wuzi lowered his head. Slowly, he sneered, his tone mocking. Ha ha, no wonder you want to break off the engagement with me. It turns out he is a rich man on the list. Ren Shanshan frowned, with some impatience between her brows. Her family and Wuzi's family are from the same village, and the two families have a good relationship. Even after Wuzi's family moved to the city, the connection between the two families remained. A year ago, the elders of the two families accidentally talked about their children's marriage, so they decided to get engaged. The targets are Wuzi and Ren Shanshan. The marriage contract was made by the two elderly people, and Ren Shanshan was completely unaware of it. This is the case in the village, which still retains some ancient bad habits, such as parents' orders to find matchmakers. By the time she found out about it, it was already half a year later. At that time she had surrendered to Shu Liang. I happened to be working on something, so I didn't pay attention. It wasn't until the past few days that her family mentioned marriage again that Ren Shanshan remembered it. He immediately refused and said that he had a boyfriend. The old couple of the Ren family are in trouble now. They have been engaged for almost a year, and the wedding day is coming soon. At this time, my daughter suddenly said that she has a boyfriend. What should I do now? Let them propose to break off the engagement with the Wu family. The old face really couldn't bear it and let Ren Shanshan handle it by herself. That's why this scene happened. Ren Shanshan asked Wuzi to clarify. Take your dirty money back. I, Wuzi, still don't need the 100,000 yuan. You have to remember one thing. You didn't break off the engagement, it was me who divorced you. As if he felt humiliated, Wuzi laughed angrily, turned around and strode outside. Before leaving, he did not forget to leave a very pretentious sentence. 30 years in Hedong, 30 years in Hexi, don't bully young people into poverty. Watching Wuzi's figure leave the coffee shop, Ren Shanshan's frown gradually relaxed. Although she was a little surprised by what Wuzi said just now, she didn't regret it at all. In her heart, Shu Liang is everything to her. Compared with Shu Liang, Wuzi is not even qualified to lift his shoes in front of him. Glancing at the card on the table, Wuzi didn't take it away, so she put it away. She gave her compensation, but Wuzi didn't want it. But after Wuzi left the coffee shop, he was blown by the breeze outside, and his heart gradually calmed down. He smiled bitterly and felt helpless in his heart. Unlike Ren Shanshan, who didn't know about the engagement between the two families. His parents told him as early as after the engagement. He also saw Ren Shanshan's photo. She is the most beautiful girl he has ever seen, and marrying her is like saving the world in his previous life. Wuzi has been looking forward to the two getting married a year later. With longing in my heart, I feel that 07's blessing is not so unacceptable. Unexpectedly, the accident happened. Just when they were about to get married, Ren Shanshan proposed to break off the engagement. Besides feeling like my dreams were shattered and I was humiliated, Ren Shanshan's practice of temporarily breaking off the engagement also made the Wu family very embarrassed. So he said those words angrily. Don't think he is so domineering, but that's just from reading novels. In reality, he is just a social animal. Want to make a comeback? Easier said than done. To him, there are two sentences behind: don't bully young people into poverty. Don't bully the middle-aged and poor. Don't bully the old and the poor. Wuzi was walking on the street in a daze, and unknowingly deviated from the sidewalk and walked to the middle of the driveway. At this time, a dump truck crashed over. A passerby noticed this scene and quickly shouted a warning. Get out of the way, a car is coming. You don't want your life. That's the driveway. Get out of the way. Careful. Wuzi suddenly woke up as if he heard the calls of people around him. When he came to his senses, he realized that a dump truck was hitting him. The distance was so close that it was too late for him to escape. An idea came to mind. My life is at an end. When everyone around saw this, they exclaimed again and again. Some little girls even covered their eyes, unable to bear to see the tragic car accident that followed. The driver of the dump truck spotted Wuzi walking in the middle of the lane and activated the emergency brake. But the huge inertia still hit him. Wuzi was knocked flying 7 to 8 meters, blood was flowing, and it was terrible to see. Hurry up and call the Yaoyaoling police number. What's the use of calling the police? Call an ambulance. It's over. This man is dead. He was knocked away so far. Who can blame me for committing suicide? The sidewalk is so wide, I have to run to the middle of the lane. Quote. This is the sound Wuzi heard when his consciousness was about to disappear. Suddenly, he remembered the study materials on his mobile phone. He was refreshed and his consciousness regained a little. His blood-stained hand tremblingly reached into his pocket. Enter the password, unlock the screen, open settings, restore factory settings, and confirm. Done in one go. After doing all this, he fainted with a tilt of his head. Everyone at the scene was stunned, looking at it for a while. At the scene of the car accident, the road was blocked and surrounded by people eating melons. It's been more than 10 minutes, why hasn't the ambulance come yet? The body will be cold if it doesn't come. It's normal. It's rush hour now. Look at how blocked this road is. Wait, look, he seems to be awake. Ah, it's a fake corpse. Holy shit, it's true. You can still survive after being hit so badly. It's a medical miracle. Quote. Brush, brush, brush. Everyone at the scene looked at the figure lying in a pool of blood. They saw Wuzi, who was already dead in their hearts, move his fingers and then sit up directly. Wuzi also noticed the scene around him, his face full of confusion. Where is this? Aren't I going on a blind date? Hiss. Why does it hurt so much? Brush. There was a tingling sensation in my mind, and a flood of information came in. Immediately afterwards, Wuzi's expression changed. Shocked, confused, very exciting. Am I reborn? Reborn after 2.5 years. Through this memory, he understood the current situation. Before 2:30, Ren Shanshan came to him to talk about breaking off the engagement. He couldn't bear the blow at that time, and was thinking wildly while walking on the road, and was hit by a dump truck and flew away. I have returned to this point in time. After understanding everything, all the emotions on his face turned into excitement, ecstasy. 2.5 years, do you know how he spent these 2.5 years? Ever since Ren Shanshan broke off their engagement, he has been in a state of despair. It's not that he didn't work hard, he wanted to respond to what he told Ren Shanshan, don't bully young people into poverty, and hit her hard in the face. However, the cruelty of reality smoothed his edges. That was all in the past. Now that he is reborn, everything will change. Rebirth means foresight, although he has lived a mediocre life and achieved nothing in the past 2.5 years. But with the knowledge gained in the past 2.5 years, he can change his fate without any problems. His only regret is that he did not pay attention to some national events in the past 2.5 years. That way he would rise faster. Fortunately, Wuzi can still remember some things that happened around him. A winery near his home is about to go bankrupt. Who knows that it will soon be revitalized and grow into a company that is not inferior to Motai. There is also virtual currency. Who knows that the virtual currency that has no reputation now will reach the point where one coin is worth tens of thousands of MI in 2 years after being hyped by Wall Street. There is no need to do anything else. Buy a few hundred virtual coins now, and you can achieve financial freedom in 2 years. The most important thing is, tomorrow, he will go to buy lottery tickets in a daze. He is only one number away from winning the first prize. He remembers it very clearly at that time. You know, the first prize is 10 million. With 10 million as the starting capital, relying on his foresight. In 2 years, not to mention being the richest man in the country, it won't be a problem to make tens of billions. The more he thought about it, the more excited Wuzi became. He didn't feel the pain from being hit by the dump truck. Then his eyes flashed, and he thought of Ren Shanshan who proposed to break off the engagement. He wanted to slap her in the face and make her regret it. He was so excited when he thought of himself, who was worth hundreds of billions, appearing in front of Ren Shanshan and she crying and begging for redemption. He would say something at that time. You proposed to break off the engagement, why are you crying now? Ha ha ha, cool, so cool. Wait, he remembered that Ren Shanshan had a younger sister, right? Her appearance was not worse than hers, and even more pure, which was his favorite type. If he could get her sister, I wonder what Ren Shanshan's expression would be. It would definitely be exciting, right? At that time, he would be kind enough to forgive her, and it would not be a problem to get both sisters. As he thought about it, he couldn't help but laugh like a pig. In the pool of blood, the person who was supposed to be killed sat up and laughed. This scene was as weird as it could be. It feels so creepy. Is this guy possessed by a ghost? Nima, now that you say that, it suddenly feels like a zombie, a bit scary. I think his brain must have been hit and he became stupid, alas. This is the result of walking and looking at your phone. Quote. The crowd pointed and talked. The driver of the dump truck was scared. If he hadn't violated the rules, it would have been all this guy's own fault. He would have run away long ago. 10 minutes later, the ambulance arrived late, and the traffic police also came to evacuate the crowd. The scene returned to calm, only the pool of blood told that there had been a car accident here. But at Su Wanqing's house, after playing for a day, Xiao Xiao was tired and went back to her room to sleep early, because children are more sleepy. Next is the adults' entertainment time. In the living room, only Xu Liang and Su Wanqing were left. An ambiguous atmosphere began to spread. Xu Liang smiled, sat close to him, and held her hand. Su Wanqing trembled, she felt like crying. In the past, when Xu Liang got close to her, although she was a little shy, she would not resist. Not now, I'm pregnant. Sister Wanqing, what's wrong with you? Xu Liang pretended to be confused, his eyes flashed with interest. I haven't watered it for a long time. I'll make up for it tonight. Well, not today, my relatives are here. Su Wanqing racked her brains to think of such an excuse. Xu Liang raised his eyebrows. I don't remember your relatives these days. Su Wanqing was stunned, but she didn't expect Xu Liang to even remember this. What to do? Never hurt the baby. Before she could figure out the answer, Xu Liang continued to joke. Don't waste your time. Wait, Su Wanqing exclaimed. In desperation, she could only tell Xu Liang about her pregnancy. I'm actually pregnant. After saying that, she lowered her head and raised her head to look at Xu Liang worriedly from time to time. Xu Liang had a smile in his eyes. I'm finally willing to say it. He pretended to be thoughtful. Seeing this, Su Wanqing became even more worried and said quickly. I'll help you in other ways, can you let me give birth to the child? Xu's conscience moved. Is there such a good thing? How could he not want children? He just wanted to say that the more the better. Even Lu Ruolan's same type of anti-fetal medicine is ready. Unexpectedly, Su Wanqing couldn't sit still after he just pondered for a moment. So, he changed the topic. There is no problem with the child being born, but it depends on your performance. The next morning, Xu Liang had people deliver various supplements and anti-fetal medicines, and she was overjoyed. From this, she felt that Xu Liang valued his children, and that was enough. The next day, Xu Liang didn't go anywhere and stayed with his mother and daughter. Mainly because of Su Wanqing's heart. This made Su Xiaoxiao very happy. Cartoons that were originally good-looking suddenly stopped being good. Watching cartoons, how can you have fun with your brother? At this time, the hospital on the other side. Wuzi walked out of the hospital door. Even though he was knocked 7 or 8 meters away and bled all over the ground, he actually only suffered some superficial injuries. After transfusing a bag of blood, nothing happened. Otherwise, he would not have bought lottery tickets at this time in his previous life. 10 million, here I come. Wuzi's eyes flashed with excitement as he walked towards a nearby lottery shop. After buying the Shuangxiku lottery ticket and confirming the numbers again and again, he left excitedly. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell. As I was walking home, the phone rang. Wuzi picked it up and took a look and found that it was a call from the company supervisor. He suddenly frowned. When he was in the company, this guy exploited him a lot. Asking him to run errands and shopping, cutting off his performance, and arranging all kinds of overtime work. It can be said that this guy has a lot of credit for being able to enjoy the blessings of 007. He couldn't resist before. In order not to be expelled, I had to let him control me. Now, Wuzi, right, you want to rebel, you piece of shit. If you're not dead, come over to work as soon as possible. In addition, you didn't come today, and you didn't ask for leave from me. This month, no. Your perfect attendance will be deducted for next month, and the next month. As soon as the call was connected, he was greeted with a lot of curses. Wuzi's face was extremely ugly, and he finally couldn't help but said angrily, "You fat pig, I won't take care of anyone in this class who falls in love." "What the hell did you say? Say it again if you dare." The voice from the other side sounded furious. "Isn't it clear enough? Now, I quit your company, even that stupid company dog will not leave." After saying that, Wuzi hung up the phone. After scolding him for a while, he felt very relieved. After all, who is still going to work after being reborn? At night, while looking at the winning results, he compared his lottery numbers. After confirming that it was correct, he held the lottery ticket tightly in his hand, with ecstatic flames dancing in his eyes. The next day, he came to the lottery center to claim his prize. Ha ha ha. After leaving the prize redemption center and looking at the 10 million that had arrived in his card, he could no longer suppress his laughter. From now on, the sea is wide enough for fish to leap, and the sky is high enough for birds to fly. His future will be infinitely bright. Money is at his fingertips, and beauties and goddesses that were previously out of reach cannot escape his grasp. His laughter caused people around him to stop and look at him, secretly thinking that yet another young man was driven crazy by life. Wuzi clutched his phone, his eyes flashing. After receiving the starting capital of 10 million, the next step is to plan for the future. Back in the rental house, he climbed over the wall and registered a virtual currency account. He spent 10,000 yuan to buy 1,000 virtual coins. He didn't dare to buy more, fearing that it would attract the attention of someone with ulterior motives. Although there were only 1,000, it would be tens of millions of dollars in 2 years. Afterwards, Wuzi came to a winery near his home. The winery's business was not good. Because it could not afford the expenses, nearly 100 employees were laid off and there were only a few left. The owner of the winery was worried. He wanted to transfer the winery, but after knowing the loss of the winery, several interested owners gave up. Just when he decided to hold on for a while, and really couldn't hold on, he would sell the winery at a low price. A young man came to the door. 3 million, I want this factory. The owner of the winery was shocked. It seems that the man is a young boy, and he thought he was playing tricks on him, so he just quoted a number. This price can be bought when the winery is not losing money. Now even if it drops to 1 million, he is willing to take action. I didn't expect this young man to be so arrogant. How could the winery owner miss such a big cheat? The transfer procedures were completed quickly. Seeing the happy face of the winery owner, Wuzi also smiled. You know, when this winery develops, the market value will be billions. That's only 2.5 years later. After a while, the value will only be higher. You may make money, but I will never lose. After harvesting the winery, a money-making machine, Wuzi breathed a sigh of relief. With the winery, he was not afraid of any accidents with virtual currency. Real industry is the most reassuring. What should I do next? He pondered. The events and changes that have taken place in the past 2 years flashed through his mind. A place in the east city of Magic City will soon be transformed into an economic development zone, and the price of land has risen sharply. If you invest in advance, you will definitely make a lot of money. However, if you want to invest in development, his millions are not enough to fill the gaps in your teeth. Is there any way to make money quickly? World Cup betting does make money quickly, but unfortunately he doesn't like football and has no memory of this in his mind. Stock futures. He has heard of it, but he doesn't understand it at all. He knows that there will be a swine fever in half a year, and the price of meat will soar at that time, and he should be able to make a fortune at that time. That will be half a year later, so I won't consider it for now. Alas, it would be great if I could have Yizan's talent for stock trading. Wuzi sighed. With the 50 million yuan he got from the demolition, he invested in the stock market and soon became a stock god who surpassed Buffett. Suddenly, he slapped his thigh. By the way, Yi Zhan seems to have risen recently, right? Not only Yi Zhan, but also Lin Hao, Mu Bai, Chen Zhou. They will all be famous figures in the future. I must make friends with them before they rise. Wuzi thought secretly in his heart. Thinking of those big guys. Wuzi also knew that Mu Bai opened a new energy vehicle company. But he is the eldest son of a billionaire group and doesn't look down on his investment at all. To become friends with these people, you must have a certain strength. Then think about whether there are other ways to make quick money. Antique Jade. He is just a 007 social animal, and he doesn't know anything about these things that only the upper class can afford. Real estate, the internet, and new energy are all industries that will make money in the next 2 years, but unfortunately he can't get involved in any of them for the time being. After looking back, he realized that there is no way to make money quickly at present. He couldn't help but secretly regret why he was so decadent in the past 2.5 years. If he had collected more information, it wouldn't have come to this. Shaking his head, Wuzi planned to buy a house first. Real estate will definitely be a huge profit in the next 2 years. He planned to let those relatives and friends who have a good relationship with his family buy a few houses to hoard, and he would never lose money. Engage in a money-making industry, make friends with those big guys, and see if he can remember any good projects. After secretly planning the future, Wuzi relaxed. The money problem was solved, and the next step was to enjoy it. He thought of Ren Shanshan's sister Ren Feifei. Didn't you break off the engagement? I turned around and pursued your sister. After thinking about it in his mind, he came to the trade city to change his clothes and bought a BMW worth 800,000 yuan. This is the capital for picking up girls. He didn't feel bad about spending the money. Sitting in the car, feeling the comfort brought by the new BMW, Wuzi calmed down his excitement for a long time. Everything is ready, only the east wind is missing. The next step is to find the target. He remembered that Ren Feifei was about to go to college, and she lived in Ren Shanshan's house these days. Unfortunately, he didn't know where Ren Shanshan's house was. It doesn't matter, at most he can wait a few more days, anyway, school is about to start. Let's go out for a drive first. With this thought, Wuzi stepped on the accelerator and drove away. Handsome guy, do you want to play together? I can be sweet, salty and pretty. On the busy street, a newly bought BMW was parked on the side of the road. A woman dressed extremely seductively was leaning over and smiling at a young man in the driver's seat. This young man was naturally Wuzi. After driving the newly bought BMW for a while and having a good time, he thought of the luxury cars parked at the school gate when he was in college. Seeing the luxury cars picking up beautiful female students one by one, he was so envious and jealous at that time. Now he has such strength, of course he wants to experience it. What? School hasn't started yet, it doesn't matter. Wuzi drove to the door of the bar, or the bustling commercial street, anyway, a place with many people will do. Sure enough, not long after he parked, many beauties came up to chat with him. This woman in front of him with a decent appearance is already the 10th one. Sorry, I'm waiting for someone. Wuzi smiled and rejected the charming woman. If it was before, he would blush for a long time if he talked to such a woman in front of him. Now he has no feeling at all, and he is confident after rebirth. Such a beautiful woman is no longer in his eyes. If you want to find one, find a stunning beauty like Ren Shanshan. The woman left disappointed. Just when Wuzi was thinking about where to go next, a figure came into view. Not far ahead, a girl who was dressed simply but couldn't hide her figure was walking on the street. Looking at her face again, Wuzi trembled. The girl's face was somewhat similar to Ren Shanshan, but there was still some immaturity between her eyebrows. Isn't this Ren Shanshan's sister Ren Feifei whom he dreamed of meeting? He couldn't sit still and started the car immediately. Ren Shanshan was busy with work and was away, leaving Ren Feifei alone at home. Feeling a little bored, she went out for a walk. It was also a way to get familiar with the atmosphere and environment of the Magic City in advance. In the past, her sister always took her with her, and she had never been there alone. The prosperity of the Magic City made her feel a little confused and scared when she came out of the village. Fortunately, Her sister and brother-in-law were there who loved her. Thinking of the gentle brother-in-law, her heart was moved and her cheeks flushed slightly. Since she met her brother-in-law last time, his figure would appear in her mind from time to time after returning home. She even dreamed about him. The first thing she did when she got up the next day was to take a shower. Why did she have such an idea? That's her brother-in-law. How can I compete with my sister for a man? A sense of shame naturally surged in my heart. Shaking her head and putting aside distracting thoughts, Ren Feifei smiled again and was a little excited. Because her sister told her that she would take her to her brother-in-law's company in the afternoon. Just when she was happy about meeting her brother-in-law, a voice came. "Hi, beautiful lady, do you want to be friends?" Wuzi slowed down the car and kept parallel to Ren Feifei's walking speed. He showed a self-proclaimed charming smile on his face. The sudden sound startled her. She turned around and saw a person in the car looking at her with a smile, and Ren Feifei frowned. She had been in Shanghai for a long time, and had been approached like this many times. She was a little scared at first, but gradually got used to it. Her sister told her that she just had to ignore these people. She turned around and continued to walk forward, pretending not to see them. Wuzi touched his chin. Ren Feifei's attitude not only did not make him stop, but made him more interested. She was different from other women. Seeing that he was driving a luxury car, she came up to ask for contact information. She was not as snobbish as her sister. That's right, Ren Shanshan broke off the engagement, and in his opinion, she felt that her family was not good enough for her. What should I do if she ignored me? Wuzi frowned and thought. Suddenly his eyes lit up and he shouted, "Fei Fei." As expected, Ren Feifei paused when she heard his words. She asked in surprise, "You are?" She didn't remember having such a friend. "I'm your sister's friend." Wuzi rolled his eyes and smiled. "Oh," Ren Feifei responded and then planned to leave. Wuzi hurriedly said, "It's almost noon, have you eaten? I'll treat you." Ren Feifei became alert instantly. She was naive, but not stupid. She said she was her sister's friend and knew her, which was barely acceptable. But treating herself to a meal was too eager. "No, my sister cooked at home, I want to go back and eat with her." After a quick reply, Ren Feifei stopped a taxi on the side of the road. Wuzi also found himself anxious and felt a little annoyed. Gradually, he had an idea. Ren Feifei was going home. If he wanted to pursue this little girl, he certainly couldn't rely on luck like today. Knowing where she lived would make it easier to start. Moreover, if Ren Shanshan saw me now, I was wearing all branded clothes and driving a top luxury car. I wonder if she would regret breaking off the engagement with me. She would probably cry, right? Wuzi was immersed in his own world. When he came to his senses, he found that the taxi carrying Ren Feifei was about to disappear. He quickly started the car and followed it. He was following Ren Feifei, but he didn't know that there was also a car following behind him, with a pair of eyes staring at him coldly. Of course, these were the bodyguards arranged by Shu Liang. All the heroines he found would be protected by female bodyguards. These were the women he had chosen. He didn't want to have a plot effect, where the heroine was kidnapped and robbed, and then the protagonist came out to save the beauty. Arranging such a plot was pure brain damage. They were stuck with the writer, so they used this to increase the word count. One kidnapping would take at least 5 or 6 pages, and there would even be more than 10 or dozens of pages. They will argue that this is to improve the heroine's favor and is part of the strategy to capture the heroine. But can't the heroine of the strategy think of other ways? Pandering to the heroine's preferences, daily life is fine. Have you ever thought about what the consequences would be if a few or even dozens of photos of these beautiful heroines were taken away? Some people even add details to the kidnappers. They will say that this is more in line with reality, and the protagonist they describe as a flesh and blood person, not the protagonist of the Dragon Ocean novel. But aren't you just writing a novel? You have certain fetishes, and you want to instill your ideas into others, which is really disgusting. There are so many protagonists in this world. Shu Liang wants to see if there is such a protagonist. He promises to let the other party know what despair is, what is worse than death. These heroines are surrounded by female bodyguards arranged by him, and there are more than one. If something happens, he will be notified, which completely eliminates some grassland plots. Of course, in addition to protecting the heroines, these bodyguards also serve the purpose of surveillance. When needed, provide him with information so that he can better pull people into the family. Ren Feifei took a car to the garden community. After paying, she walked in under the respectful gaze of the security guard. Garden community. As one of the famous communities in Shanghai, it has done a great job in terms of environment and safety. The people living there are either rich or noble, and a house starts at least tens of millions. Even some good locations are not just for you to live in if you have money, but also rely on power and relationships. Wuzi was confused. He wiped his eyes and looked at the 4 clear words, garden community. He was a little confused. This community is famous, of course he knows it. What made him dumbfounded was that Ren Feifei said going home, meaning that home is here. How is it possible? How could Ren Shanshan live here? Even if he still had millions in hand and wanted to buy a house, he never thought of buying it here. The little money he had was only enough to buy a small piece of land here. Ren Shanshan is being kept by a big boss. This was the only explanation. There is no other possibility. Wuzi was so angry that he gnashed his teeth. Although Ren Shanshan proposed to break off the engagement, he also hated her and decided to make her regret it. But he could not deny that he still had a little desire in his heart, and finally got both sisters. Unexpectedly, the woman he liked had already thrown herself into the arms of someone else. Who is it? Wuzi clenched his fists, and his heart was so distressed. Seeing Ren Feifei's figure gradually disappearing from his sight, he wanted to chase her to see. However, he was stopped by the security guard as soon as he arrived at the door. Please show your proof. The security guards here are all retired Special Forces soldiers, and they are conscientious and responsible. Their first task in office is to recognize all the residents in the community and not to stop these people. If it is other people, they must show the owner's invitation certificate. Where did Wuzi get the proof? He explained with a smile. Brother, I am a friend of that girl, can you make some concessions? Swish, swish. A pair of eyes looked at him, with sharp eyes. The iron-blooded spirit of the military spread. Wuzi felt the suffocating oppression and could only leave in a huff. Parking the car on the side of the road, Wuzi sighed. Originally, he wanted to show off in front of Ren Shanshan, to make her regret and put her in pain. What a fart to show off, she lives in a top-notch community, and he can't even enter the community gate. But he didn't give up. He must see who the man behind Ren Shanshan is. When Ren Feifei returned home, Ren Shanshan had just finished cooking and came out of the kitchen. She didn't hire a nanny and cooked all her own meals at home. Firstly, it's because of hobby. The second is that I don't want to lose my skills. When Shu Liang arrives, I will cook him a sumptuous meal to bring the relationship between the two closer. There is something to say. The heroines that Shu Liang won are all good, at least their cooking skills are not bad. You're back, I was about to call you. Ren Shanshan smiled when she saw her sister coming back. Ren Feifei washed her hands and put it on the table. While eating, she told her sister what happened when she went out. By the way, sister, do you have a friend like this? Thinking of the person she had chatted with before, Ren Feifei said suddenly. She also gave a rough description of Wuzi's appearance. Ren Feifei's expression suddenly became serious. Through my sister's description. The man drove a newly purchased luxury car, was well dressed, and was not too ugly. She didn't know such a person. Moreover, except for Shu Liang, she has no male friends at all. Except for Shu Liang, she never told anyone about her sister's condition. So who is the other party? Looking at her innocent sister, she asked in a deep voice. What exactly happened? Immediately, Ren Feifei told everything about Wuzi's chatting with her and what she said was her friend. Ren Shanshan was a little nervous when she learned that the man invited her sister to dinner. I relaxed after hearing her rejection. You did a good job. I don't have a friend like that at all. That person must be a liar. Ren Feifei exclaimed, feeling a wave of fear in her heart. Fortunately, the other party wanted to invite him to dinner, but he didn't agree. Feifei, this is a big city and there are many scammers. They are not as honest as the people in our village. From now on, except for me and your brother-in-law, you have to be careful with what others say. Ren Shanshan immediately began to lecture her sister. Ren Feifei listened obediently and nodded from time to time. After the meal, Ren Feifei rushed to clear the dishes, but Ren Shanshan did not refuse. After resting for a while, she looked at her sister, still dressed in the same simple outfit. Her eyes flickered and she suggested with a smile. We are going to the company, do you want to change your clothes? Before Shu Liang took action, as her sister, she had already begun to secretly help. It couldn't change the outcome anyway, so why couldn't she take the initiative and still please Shu Liang? Do you want to change clothes? Ren Feifei obviously knew that she was going to the company to meet her brother-in-law, and she suddenly hesitated with a guilty conscience. Then do you want to change? Ren Shanshan crossed her chest with her hands and squeezed out an abyss. There was a joking expression on his face. It's better to change to another one. Ren Feifei blurted out a little anxiously. Sensing the strange look in her sister's eyes, she felt ashamed and rushed into her bedroom. After some selection, she chose a JK uniform. This dress looks very beautiful. She has never worn it before. Today is a bold attempt for Shu Liang. After changing clothes and coming out, Ren Shanshan also put on light makeup, and the two sisters went out hand in hand. Outside the community gate, at this time, Wuzi stared at a BMW parked on the roadside. He had been waiting here for several hours, and his stomach was growling with hunger. Why haven't you seen Sister Ren Shanshan come out yet? Just when he was hesitating whether to go back to eat first and check out the spots later. In sight, a white Maserati Quattroporte appeared, driving out of the community. He didn't pay attention at first, but when he glanced at the car owner, he was stunned. He actually saw that the person driving the Maserati Quattroporte was Ren Shanshan. This car is worth at least several million, and my own BMW is like garbage in front of it. This hit Wuzi again. The idea of showing off in front of Ren Shanshan was aborted. His face was gloomy, his mood was extremely heavy, and he was a little curious. What kind of boss has Ren Shanshan hooked up with? Not only did he give her a mansion, but he also gave her a luxury car. Seeing the Maserati president driving away slowly, he followed him without hesitation. He must find out who kept Ren Shanshan. Moreover, he must catch up with Ren Feifei as soon as possible. If she were allowed to continue to stay with Ren Shanshan, she would be taken aback by that big boss one day. Wasn't his wish to have both sisters fulfilled by someone else? Following all the way, Wuzi came to the Shu group. He was very surprised, and a guess came into his mind. Could it be that the eldest son of the Shu family is behind Ren Shanshan? If it is true, it would not be surprising to give her a car and a house. But that's not right. Isn't Shu Liang a licker? He has been pursuing Lu Ruolin but has been rejected. Later, he was treated very miserably by the miracle doctor Lin Hao. Before his rebirth, 2.5 years later, Lin Hao and the three masters behind him faced off against the huge Shu family. As for the subsequent results, he doesn't know. Anyway, he knew that Shu Liang, the eldest son of the Shu family, was a bootlicker who had always been bullied by Lin Hao. He was disdainful of such a young master. No matter how rich his family was or how big his background was, he looked down on them. Wuzi planned to have a meal first, but there were security guards at the company gate, so he couldn't get in. Unexpectedly, Ren Shanshan's Maserati stopped at the gate. Soon, two figures walked out of the car. One of them was of course Ren Shanshan, who was wearing a professional suit and looked radiant. The other was Ren Feifei. The sisters stood together, and Wuzi almost drooled. Wait, he suddenly found a blind spot. Ren Feifei actually changed into a JK uniform. This dress fit her very well, and was very cute, full of youthful breath. Strange, Ren Feifei was wearing jeans and a white t-shirt before. Why did she change into this dress? Did she deliberately wear it for the eldest son of the Shu family to see? As soon as this thought came up, he hurriedly shook his head and put aside his distracting thoughts. How could it be possible? How could a simple Ren Feifei do such a thing for a man? The two sisters stood at the door, most likely waiting for the man who supported her. Wuzi also stared closely, without blinking. Not long after, a Rolls-Royce stopped at the door and a figure got out of the car. Who else could it be but Shu Liang? Seeing Shu Liang, the two sisters smiled. The relationship between the three of them was unusual at first glance. In the distance, Wuzi saw this scene and his teeth were clattering. Looking at Ren Shanshan's intimate behavior, she must have been picked by Shu Liang. And Ren Feifei's eyes looking at Shu Liang were also a little strange. The veins on his hand holding the steering wheel were bulging, which was a sign of extreme anger. Ding. Wuzi is angry with you, villain value plus 666. Ding. Wuzi is hateful towards you, villain value plus 777. Ding. Wuzi is furious, villain value plus 888. Shu Liang raised his eyebrows, looking for the source of the malicious gaze, and saw a BMW in the distance. Another protagonist. It's really like leeks, one crop is harvested and another crop pops up. Retracting his gaze, Shu Liang looked at Ren Shanshan and her sister again. It seemed that the protagonist this time was related to them. So, while walking with the sisters to the company, he took out his mobile phone and sent a message. Let the bodyguards protecting them report detailed information. Not long after, a summarized message was edited and sent over. It included what Ren Shanshan and Ren Feifei had done and the people they had contacted. He extracted a key person from it. Wuzi. 2 days ago, Ren Shanshan asked him to break off the engagement. Today at noon, she chatted with Ren Feifei and followed him here. His subordinates obviously noticed this problem. The information report also included Wuzi's information. Wuzi, male, 25 years old, lives in South City. After a quick glance at these basic information, Shu Liang's eyes fell on what happened in the past 2 days. Starting from when Ren Shanshan broke off the engagement, he was hit by a dump truck on the street and flew 7 or 8 meters. He fainted and sat up like nothing happened within 10 minutes. Then he was sent to the hospital for examination and blood transfusion. It was called a medical miracle. The first thing he did when he was discharged from the hospital the next day was to buy lottery tickets. He won the first prize of 10 million. Then he bought virtual currency and acquired a winery that was about to go bankrupt. The investigation was very detailed. Behind the virtual currency was Wall Street, which was controlled by several financial giants and was preparing to hype it up. The winery is popular because of its special brewing method and unusual taste. The reason why it is about to go bankrupt is actually because it is suppressed. After doing all this, Wuzi went to the trade city again, bought clothes and cars, and felt like a nouveau riche. Went for a walk in the suburbs, then stopped at the door of a bar on a busy street, and then chatted with Ren Feifei. After being rejected, he followed her to the garden community. After waiting at the door for a few hours, he followed Ren Shanshan's car again and came to Shu's group. Tisk. Through Wuzi's actions, Shu Liang already knew that the protagonist this time was actually a reborn protagonist. Just don't know what type of rebirth it is. Use him as a reference. If he is reborn in the timeline he didn't cross over, even if he was reborn, he doesn't know his situation. It's no different to deal with such a protagonist than other protagonists. If he is reborn in the timeline after he crosses over, it's a bit troublesome to deal with such a protagonist. The first thing to consider is that he knows how many means he has. But it doesn't matter. As cautious as he is, he certainly won't reveal all his cards. Even if some powerful protagonists are reborn, they may know that he is the mastermind behind Skynet. But does he know how many assassins there are in Skynet? What are their strengths? And, is Skynet really the only assassin organization in the eyes of the world? Is there any existence hidden deeper? All this, maybe only Shu Liang knows. Such a protagonist is reborn. There is no doubt that he must have been killed by him in the previous life. He also has the confidence to kill him again. Walking into the company gate, Ren Feifei was dazzled by the magnificent layout inside. She was even more shocked when she learned that the entire building belonged to Shu Group. No wonder he spent more than 200,000 yuan to take her out for a meal, hundreds of thousands of yuan to buy a few sets of clothes, and gave her a gold card worth 1 million yuan without blinking. She had a clear understanding of her brother-in-law's wealth in her heart. Shanshan, take Feifei to visit the company. Shu Liang didn't have the time to take Ren Feifei to visit. After handing the task to Ren Shanshan, he went to the president's office. Personal secretary Shui Yorong came towards him. She blinked her eyes and smiled teasingly. That's Shanshan's sister, right? It seems that it won't be long before the president can unlock a new achievement. Shu Liang raised his eyebrows and pulled her into the office. I want to unlock your achievement first. Shui Yorong didn't resist. After all, it wasn't the first time to kneel down to report work. Seeing Shu Liang leave, Ren Feifei pursed her lips, feeling a little reluctant. But she also knew that as the president of such a large company, Shu Liang must have a lot of things to do. Next to her, Ren Shanshan saw her sister's expression, and a smile appeared in her eyes. Suddenly she reached out and patted her. What are you looking at? Ah, nothing, nothing. Ren Feifei came back to her senses, her face instantly blushed, and she shook her head. Seeing her sister so cute, Ren Shanshan smiled even more brightly, and then took her hand. Let's go, aren't you curious about the company? I'll take you to see it first. In the president's office, Shu Liang was signing documents that had been piled up for several days. Shui Yorong was reporting work under the desk. Bang bang bang. At this moment, the office door was knocked. Shui Yorong paused, and looked up at Shu Liang nervously. Shu Liang reached out and touched her head, with a smile on his lips. Come in. Shui Yorong's pupils shrank. Then, she felt her head being patted twice. Shu Liang recognized from the footsteps that the person coming was Li Wanjin, one of his hot weapons. As expected, the door was opened, and Li Wanjin's slender figure walked in. Seeing Shu Liang, her eyes lit up. As soon as she heard Shu Liang came to the company, she hurried over. Now there are only two of them in the office, and the world of two is about to begin. However, she did not forget the business, and began to report to Shu Liang about her work during this period. Because of the sight barrier of the desk, she did not notice Shui Yorong's existence. This resulted in the two women reporting their work, but there was no conflict at all. After the report, she stared at Shu Liang straight, her eyes were drawn. Shu Liang was really too charming when he was working seriously. Seeing Shu Liang twist his neck, she moved her heart and decided to go over to help massage. But when she walked around the desk, the scene in front of her made her stunned instantly. Shui Yorong was also looking at her. For a moment, the two looked at each other and the atmosphere was stalemate. Shui Yorong was able to remain calm and even winked at her. They were all old comrades who had carried the same gun together, so there was no need to be so nervous. This made Li Wanjin very angry. You are so good, Shui Yorong, you usually look broad-minded, but I didn't expect you to do such a thing. I was standing to report my work, but you were kneeling to report your work. Why? It's unfair. Li Wanjin glared at her hatefully, thinking that she must help Shu Liang defeat her on the battlefield later. She must not fall before her. At this time, she also came behind Shu Liang and began to massage skillfully. But when she looked down, she could always meet Shui Yorong's eyes. He even winked at her, which was a naked provocation. Shu Liang didn't care about the secret confrontation between the two women. Signing and enjoying at the same time is really a different experience. After signing the last document, Shu Liang stretched his arms. People have arrived at the battlefield, and there are 3 seconds left to start the battle. 3, 2, 1, fire. An afternoon passed. Ren Shanshan took her sister to visit the Shu group and showed her a lot of the world. Ren Feifei came to the big city from the village. She was a little confused and helpless, but now she has disappeared. After the visit, Ren Shanshan planned to take her sister home. But at this time, Shu Liang found them and said that they would have dinner together in the evening. The sisters were so happy. Ren Shanshan thought that it was because of her sister that Shu Liang paid more attention to her. For a while, the look in her eyes when she looked at her sister changed. She looked thoughtful, as if she was brewing some plan. Ren Feifei was more innocent. She thought Shu Liang was just to accompany her for dinner, and even ignored his work. It was as if a stone fell into the calm lake of the heart, causing ripples. Shu Liang saw the expressions of the two sisters and his eyes were a little strange. He just received the news that Wuzi was still waiting outside, ready to harvest a wave of luck. Are these two sisters overthinking a little? What is this called? Unintentional planting leads to a good harvest. At the company gate. In the BMW. The flowers that Wuzi waited for were almost withered. After Shu Liang took the two sisters in, he went to buy a loaf of bread to fill his stomach because he didn't know when the sisters would leave. But how could one loaf of bread be enough? After an afternoon, his stomach started to growl again. Suddenly, he was refreshed and saw Shu Liang's Rolls-Royce driving out. Through the gap in the car window, he keenly noticed that Ren Shanshan and her sister were also in the car. Ren Shanshan was fine, she had been controlled by Shu Liang and fallen. But how could he let Ren Feifei stay with Shu Liang? He quickly started the car and followed. While following, Wuzi fell into deep thought. He felt that this Shu Liang was different from his impression. He was more handsome, had a better figure, and most importantly, had a good temperament. Gentle, elegant, easygoing, like a spring breeze. Is this the temperament that a dog should have? His personality is also completely different. Shouldn't Shu Liang be a dog? Wherever Lu Ruolin is, he is there. Why does he give people the feeling that he is a scumbag who cheats on girls and feelings? Wuzi can't help but doubt his life. Chapter 91. Wuzi followed the car all the way and found that the Rolls-Royce in front stopped, so he braked quickly. Soon, he saw a woman in red coming down from the driver's seat and came to the back seat to open the door for Shu Liang. Ren Shanshan and her sister got out of the car from the other side. He didn't pay attention to the two sisters, but focused his eyes on the woman in red. She was beautiful and had a body, no worse than Ren Shanshan and her sister. Wuzi was dumbfounded again. Before his rebirth, he had seen Shu Liang once from a distance, and there was a bodyguard beside him to open the door for him. But it was not this woman in red. He had begun to realize that something was wrong. Shu Liang waved to the two women and took them to the seafood restaurant next door. This is the largest seafood restaurant in Magic City. There are all kinds of seafood in it, including king crabs, bluefin tuna, splendid lobsters. These seafood that ordinary people can't even see, but it depends on his mood and whether he wants to eat them. It must be said that these seafood tastes good, and Shu Liang often comes here. The boss here also reserved a private room for him. What made him a little unhappy was that there were rumors that Sakura country was going to discharge nuclear wastewater recently. I didn't expect that I would encounter such a shitty thing after crossing here. He has asked Skynet to take action. Discharging nuclear wastewater. You should digest it yourself. If they still don't repent and insist on their own way, there is no need for the island to exist. The real power that Shu Liang possesses is beyond everyone's imagination. It is not difficult to do this. His eyes flashed and he regained his mind. At this time, a waiter came up and flattered him. Mr. Shu. The boss had ordered these waiters that once Shu Liang arrived, they must be more respectful than treating him. And notify him in time to come and greet him. Shu Liang smiled slightly, stopped him from notifying the boss, and did not ask to go to the supreme box. How can he harvest the protagonist's luck if he goes to the box? Let him arrange a quieter seat in the hall. The waiter was terrified and looked straight ahead, fearing that he would displease this top young master. After hearing the order, he hurried to make the arrangements. Not long after, the waiter came back and told him that the arrangements were made. Under his leadership, the three of them came to a window seat. Even in the hall, this is a prime seat, and there are not many people around. Let's follow the previous menu. The two women were not given a chance to order. Shu Liang's previous menu was a table full of the best dishes in the restaurant. A meal would cost several million. Shu Liang didn't care about it, and the main thing was to be happy. After all, money is just a string of numbers in his eyes, and he can have as much as he wants. Okay, Mr. Shu, please wait. The waiter responded respectfully before leaving. Ren Shanshan's eyes lit up. She, Shui Yorong, and Li Wanjin, the three golden flowers of the Shu group, accompanied Shu Liang to eat several times. That was really the best seafood, extremely delicious, making people linger. But it was still far from Shu Liang's backstab. The next step was to wait for the delicious food to be served. But it didn't take long. Because no matter how many people were in line, the chefs would temporarily stop what they were doing and give priority to cooking for Shu Liang. Ren Shanshan pulled her sister to the seat, took out a chair, and motioned her to sit. Ren Feifei stepped forward obediently. I don't know whether it was intentional or not, Ren Shanshan's feet blocked the middle, and Ren Feifei accidentally tripped. Her body fell involuntarily. And the direction she fell was exactly where Shu Liang was. How could her little action be hidden from Shu Liang's eyes? Of course he didn't expose it, which was a good thing. Such a good assist, he would not miss it. Slightly tilting his body, he stretched out his hand and just took her into his arms. Ah! Feeling dizzy, Ren Feifei's mind was a little blank, and she exclaimed. In midair, she grabbed with both hands, looking for a life-saving straw. Suddenly, she felt herself falling into a warm embrace. Her body stopped falling, and her hands were holding something, so she felt safe. After she breathed a sigh of relief and came to her senses, the scene in front of her made her dumbfounded. At this moment, she was held in Shu Liang's arms, and she actually held his arm. This scene was as ambiguous as it could be. The strong masculine scent from the tip of her nose made Ren Feifei's face flush instantly. Her brain froze, and she kept doing this, forgetting that this was still the lobby of the restaurant. It was Shu Liang's voice that brought her back to reality. Are you okay? The voice was as gentle as jade, very pleasant to hear. Ren Feifei quickly let go of her hand, got out of Shu Liang's arms, and stood up straight. No, it's okay. She waved her hands quickly, but a sense of loss surged in her heart. I really want to return to that warm embrace again. Feifei, you are too careless. Ren Shanshan's voice came to mind. Ren Feifei was unbearably shy at this time, lowering her head and almost burying herself in the mountain. She lowered her head and said nothing. How could she find the smile on her sister's face at this moment? After asking her sister to sit down, Ren Shanshan came to sit on the other side of Shu Liang. The two sisters sat next to Shu Liang, one on the left and one on the right. It feels like hugging each other and enjoying the blessings of everyone. A table not far away. In order to check the specific situation of the three of them, Wuzi also pretended to be a guest and booked a table. From this angle, you can clearly see what the three of them are doing. When Ren Shanshan pulled up the chair, she deliberately stretched out one foot to block Ren Feifei's face, which happened to catch his eye. At that time, he was still a little surprised. How could Ren Shanshan harm his sister? After just a moment, he realized that he was being conservative. She didn't harm her sister, she simply pushed her into a pit of fire. Pushing my sister to Shu Liang is not pushing her into a pit of fire. I saw Ren Feifei and Shu Liang hugging each other in an extremely ambiguous posture. Wuzi was so angry that he gritted his teeth. He fell in love with a woman, and before even saying a few words, she was already hugged by Shu Liang. This wasn't what made him the most angry. Ren Feifei and Shu Liang hugged each other, and it was actually directed by her sister. Not only did she give it to Shu Liang herself, but she also had to take her sister to serve him. Wuzi's eyes burst into flames when he thought of the scene of Shu Liang hugging him from left to right. There was a strong impulse in my heart. That is to rush up and beat Shu Liang violently, and then scold Ren Shanshan for being a sister in vain. Ding. Wuzi hates you to the core, villain value plus 888. Ding. Wuzi is furious, villain value plus 999. Wuzi finally held back the impulsive thought. Don't think that in the future, Shu Liang will be played around by Lin Hao, which makes him look down on him from the bottom of his heart. But he is a member of the Shu family after all. The power of the Shu family is too huge. No matter how unbearable he is not someone that a small person like him can afford to offend. If the other woman he likes is seduced by Shu Liang, although Wuzi is unwilling, he has to let go. After all, he is a reborn person, a son of destiny, and a man destined to reach the peak of his life. Why should a man worry about not having a wife? He knows a lot of beauties, so there is no need to hang himself on a tree. But that is Ren Shanshan and her sister. In his past and present lives, he has suffered 2 divorces from Ren Shanshan, which has become his obsession. He dreams of standing in front of Shanshan after he has made some achievements and making her regret it. By the way, he wants to catch her sister and make her angry to death. So, as long as he saw that Shu Liang hadn't taken Ren Feifei down, Wuzi would not be willing to leave. In his sight, the 3 of them were talking and laughing, a happy scene. He was envious of them and wanted to replace them. At this moment, a strong fragrance drifted by. His stomach growled. His eyes shifted to the side, and it turned out that a waiter was passing by with a plate. The dishes they were carrying were very delicate and gorgeous like sculptures. Not only were the flavors particularly strong, but the appearance gave people a strong appetite. That was the king crab, that was the splendid lobster, that was. Wuzi was dazzled by the dazzling array of dishes. He swallowed his saliva and felt even hungrier. In his sight, these dishes were sent to Shu Liang's table. A rich dog, he couldn't help but curse inwardly, feeling sour. Haven't you seen pigs run before you've eaten pork? These dishes were all ones he had seen on food shows. They cost at least $1 million. After he was reborn, he won the lottery and planned for the future. He was exhausted. What about others? They didn't have to do anything, and they lived countless times better than him. Who has ever seen a meal cost more than $1 million? People are so annoying. Even if all his plans are successful, he will not be able to reach the height of the Shu family in the future. It has to be said that some people are born at the end of countless people. Shu Liang's casual meal almost broke his mentality. Wuzi took a deep breath and calmed down for a long time. A sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. Keep being cool. You won't be proud for long. If I remember correctly, Lin Hao has gone down the mountain, and your nightmare is about to begin. Ding. Wuzi is angry with you, villain value plus 666. The food was served, and Ren Feifei was also stunned. I thought that the meal I had in the hotel last time cost more than 200,000 yuan, which was already the ultimate luxury. I didn't expect this meal to be even more outrageous. At the same time, I couldn't help but feel touched that Shu Liang brought her to eat such delicious food. Picking up the chopsticks, Ren Shanshan picked up food for Shu Liang as usual. Shu Liang naturally put one hand on Ren Shanshan's leg and enjoyed the silky smoothness. Although he had guessed the relationship between the two. But seeing Shu Liang taking advantage and Ren Shanshan not resisting at all, Wuzi still felt upset. The only thing he was thankful for was that Ren Feifei hadn't fallen yet. A scumbag who didn't lack money, and a sister who cheated her sister. Ren Feifei was too dangerous now. He had to get her out of the sea of suffering before Shu Liang took action. Wuzi looked determined. However, the scene he saw next almost broke his defense. At the table, seeing her sister picking up food for her brother-in-law, Ren Feifei felt that it was a bit wrong for her not to do something. So, she peeled a lobster and handed it to Shu Liang. Shu Liang had no free hands at this time, so he winked at her. Ren Feifei understood, looked at her sister, and then shyly handed the shrimp to Shu Liang's mouth. Shu Liang ate the lobster and nodded with satisfaction. This heroine is quite sensible. Ren Feifei quickly retracted her hand. Even with the obstruction of plastic gloves, the touch just now still made her blush and heartbeat. It took her a long time to recover. After the first time, the second time was not so entangled. Especially after getting the tacit consent of her sister, the style of the painting began to become strange. The elder sister picked up the food for Shu Liang, and the younger sister peeled the shrimp and brought it to her mouth. It was simply a fairy-like enjoyment. Wuzi, who was watching this scene from a distance, was already stunned. Who am I? Where am I? What should I do? He looked at Shu Liang, who was eating the best food and enjoying the service of the sisters in the distance. Then he looked at himself sitting here alone. Why haven't the dishes been served yet? He knew it was dinner time, there were many customers, and the dishes would be served later. The waiter had reminded him. But knowing and understanding are one thing, he just felt unhappy. Very unhappy. After finally coming to this high-end restaurant, he ordered a lot, ready to experience the upper-class life in advance. As a result, he waited for a long time but still didn't see the shadow of seafood. After another 10 minutes, the waiter finally brought the dishes. Sorry, sir, there was a delay in the kitchen. We are willing to give you a 10% discount to apologize. It's okay to say that it was delayed. It was to prepare dishes for Shu Liang. In fact, their restaurant has several kitchens, and there are also senior chefs specially hired to treat VIPs. But because Shu Liang ordered too many dishes, the assistants were not professional enough, and all chefs needed to cooperate. This caused the dishes of others to be slow. Waited for almost 2 hours, and watched Shu Liang enjoy 2 hours. Wuzi was furious. I didn't expect the restaurant to give a discount to apologize directly, and the anger that was about to erupt was held back by him. The 10% discount is already a lot. With the intention of enjoying, He was also extravagant and ordered dishes worth more than 100,000 yuan. 10% off, it can save tens of thousands. Gurgle. At this time, his stomach growled. Wuzi waved his hand to send the waiter away and prepared to eat. He habitually looked at Shu Liang and paused. In his sight, the three people had eaten their fill and were packing up to leave. He glanced at the chopsticks in his hand, and then looked at the various seafood delicacies that smelled fragrant. Finally, his eyes fell on Shu Liang and the other two, who were walking out the door. Wuzi's mentality was a little broken. My God, are you sure you are not kidding me? Between eating to fill his stomach and following to save Ren Feifei, he chose the latter. Before leaving, he reluctantly glanced at the food on the table. Ding. Wuzi has hatred towards you, villain value plus 777. But before he could leave, a waiter stopped him. Sir, where are you going? The waiter looked a little serious. Wuzi saw that it was a look of looking at someone who was eating a free meal. The frustration in his heart suddenly surged up, and he was furious. How long have you served the dishes? I don't want to eat any more, goodbye. After saying this domineeringly, he pushed the waiter away and prepared to leave. At this time, several tall and strong men surrounded him. They sneered and rubbed their hands. Boy, you want to eat a free meal. Misunderstanding. Wuzi hesitated and paid the money obediently. He suddenly lost hundreds of thousands, which made him feel distressed. The waiter wasn't sarcastic or anything, and said he would take the food to heat it up and come back to eat when he was done. Wuzi felt better now. He was about to chase Shu Liang and the others in the direction they left, but he found a familiar figure trotting in. Huh, isn't this Ren Feifei? Wuzi was a little surprised. Then he saw Ren Feifei enter the bathroom. It turned out that I came back to use the toilet. Something moved in his heart. What a great opportunity. Zheng was worried about how to tell her about Ren Shanshan cheating her. The opportunity came now. So he walked to the bathroom and waited outside. Women passing by looked at him strangely and warily. Wuzi's face darkened. Do you think he is a pervert who wants to see beauties leaving the toilet? Seeing Ren Feifei coming out, he quickly stopped her. The figure that suddenly jumped out startled her, and when she saw that it was the guy she had chatted with at noon, Ren Feifei was wary. My sister said she didn't know this person at all and was a liar. Who are you? My sister said she doesn't even know you as a friend. How do you know my name? Facing her series of questions, Wuzi was speechless. How do you want him to answer? Do you want me to pursue you to regain my position after your sister broke off my engagement? Don't worry about the details. He touched his nose, remembered his purpose, and said, Feifei, listen to me first. That Shu Liang is actually not a good person. Don't be fooled by him. He is just a licker. Ren Feifei was a little confused. I thought this guy was here to strike up a conversation again, but he actually said bad things about his brother-in-law. The image of her brother-in-law in her heart was tall and majestic. How could she let others throw dirty water on him? She immediately scolded him coldly. You are the licking dog, your whole family is licking the dog. Brother-in-law is a licker. What international joke are you kidding? What is your brother-in-law's identity, appearance, and temperament? He will act as a licking dog for others, and others will kneel down and lick him. Wuzi. He was confused. She just stated the facts. Wasn't Ren Feifei's reaction too big? She was definitely brainwashed by Shu Liang and her sister. He was filled with anger when he thought of Ren Shanshan pushing his sister into the fire pit. By the way, let me tell you something about your sister. Actually, I have been watching you from the side just now. When Ren Shanshan pulled up the chair, I saw her put out a foot in front of you, deliberately making you fall on Shu Liang. She is sending you into Shu Liang's arms and pushing you into the fire pit. You have to stay away from her. Hearing this, Ren Feifei, who was about to leave angrily, paused and looked at him in surprise. Are you telling the truth? For a moment, she felt short of breath, her heartbeat accelerated, and her face began to turn slightly red. Thinking she didn't believe it, Wuzi quickly raised his hand and swore an oath. It's absolutely true. If what I say is even half a lie, I will be struck by lightning and die. After he finished speaking, he stared at the expression on Ren Feifei's face. However, he was disappointed. There was no anger, shame, etc. emotions seen on her face. On the contrary, I could see a hint of excitement and anticipation. What the hell? The expression on Ren Feifei's face. Just saying, let the storm come more violently, she said that she has nothing to fear. Wuzi is stupid. Ding. Wuzi doubts life, villain value plus 999. Ignoring Wuzi, Ren Feifei's heart was in the sky. With a smile on her face and excitement, she jumped out of the restaurant. Shu Liang and Ren Shanshan were waiting outside. The man is extremely handsome, the woman is as beautiful as a fairy, and countless people cast envious glances. What a handsome little brother. I really want to post it. Why do you have a girlfriend? You said it so directly, you kind of don't take my boyfriend seriously. Quote. The man is handsome, and the woman is not bad either. She is definitely a school belle in school. I really want to have such a beautiful girlfriend. Wait. Why another one? Suddenly, a man's eyes widened and he stared blankly ahead. I saw another beautiful woman appear, and her eyebrows were very similar to that beauty. It turned out to be two sisters. Seeing Shu Liang leaving with his sisters, all the male compatriots couldn't help but begin to doubt their lives. For a school belle level beauty like Ren Shanshan, the only thing they get is smoke rising from their ancestral graves. Shu Liang actually got two. Not only that, they are sisters. Double the joy. When Wuzi recovered from his confusion and chased him out. Then he saw sisters Shu Liang and Ren Shanshan not leaving, but walking on the street. While he breathed a sigh of relief, he heard whispers from around him, all of whom were envious of the Shu Liang sisters' double success. Wuzi's face was as gloomy as water. He was reborn, he was the protagonist, he should be the one hugged by women. Why did Shu Liang do that? He was just a dog, and he would be played by Lin Hao in the future. How could Wuzi watch Ren Feifei being abused by him? He was so angry that he could not suppress it. Following Shu Liang, Ren Shanshan had a happy smile on her face. It was rare for Shu Liang to go shopping with her. She did not forget who brought all this, her sister. Her eyes fell on that innocent face, and Ren Shanshan fell into deep thought. I wonder if she will accept it. Judging from her sister's performance, it should be fine. While thinking, colorful neon lights came into her eyes. Looking closely, the four big words, Universal Studios, were very conspicuous. Her eyes lit up and she suggested to Shu Liang beside her. Brother Liang, are you free tonight? How about we go to the movies? After saying that, she looked expectant. Shu Liang raised his eyebrows. He was originally planning to accompany another woman tonight, but it seems that he has to change his plan. Glancing at the sneaky Wuzi, he smiled. Okay. Ren Shanshan was happy. She thought that this was the charm of sisters, which could make Shu Liang change his mind. Ren Feifei was also very happy. Her sister took her to the cinema, which meant that she could spend more time with her brother-in-law. The three of them walked towards Universal Studios. Wuzi, who was following behind, felt something was wrong. Are they going to the movies? Suddenly, a picture appeared in his mind. Shu Liang was in the middle, and Ren Shanshan and her sister sat on both sides. When they saw the horror plot, the sisters snuggled in his arms in fear. Shu Liang's hands were dishonest, and he began to compare the differences between the two sisters. Wuzi shuddered. No, this must not happen. He immediately stopped hiding and appeared in front of the three people. He didn't care about the surprised looks of the two sisters. He looked at Shu Liang and said straight to the point. Shu Liang, young master of the Shu family, you are about to be in big trouble. Shu Liang, the eldest son of the Shu family, you are about to be in big trouble. Wuzi thought about it before starting with this sentence. If he jumped out and said without thinking, let the sisters go and let me do it, he would be beaten up as a gangster. Even if he said something nice, Shu Liang would not care. After all, the difference in their status is there. On the contrary, he is now showing such a mysterious and profound attitude, which may arouse Shu Liang's curiosity. As long as he arouses his interest, Wuzi is confident that he can scare this useless young master. However, before Shu Liang could ask, Ren Feifei spoke first. She was full of anger at this time. What nonsense are you talking about, you liar? My brother-in-law is fine now, but you are about to be in big trouble. Then she looked at her sister with a strange expression and pointed at Wuzi and said, Sister, it's him. He's the person I told you about. He claims to be your friend and called me by my name. Just now, when I went to the bathroom, he told me something. He's obviously following us. Like a bamboo tube pouring beans, Ren Feifei told all about Wuzi. Wuzi, are you going to sell me out so thoroughly? Seeing her sister stand up for Shu Liang, she secretly thought it was okay, and then Ren Shanshan's expression turned ugly. She guessed Wuzi's thoughts in her heart. This was because she was angry about her divorce and wanted to pursue her sister. She also cheated in the name of her friend. He really didn't have any moral integrity at all. She thought Wuzi was very domineering when he said, "Don't bully the poor young man," before, and thought he was a man. Now it seems that he is just a villain. Disgust appeared in her eyes and she said indifferently, "Wuzi, I need an explanation. You lied to my sister in the name of my friend. When did I have a friend like you?" Swish. Wuzi is now a powder keg. Ren Shanshan's words are like a little flame, which will explode at a touch. Put away your high and mighty attitude. You used the same tone when you broke off the engagement. It really makes me sick. Why should I, Wuzi, explain my actions to others? Who I want to pursue is none of your business. After saying this, he felt relieved and took out the car keys again. Ren Shanshan, you didn't expect it, did you? I'm different now. Did you see this Armani outfit of mine? And this car key, a BMW worth 800,000 yuan. After a pause, he continued. I just want to pursue your sister, and then stand in front of you and make you regret breaking off the engagement. Wuzi felt refreshed. Finally, he said what he dreamed of saying. It's just the effect, it has no effect at all. Ren Shanshan looked at him as if she was looking at a clown, with a mocking expression on her face. Regret, are you worthy of making me regret? Still want to pursue my sister? A toad wants to eat swan meat. Beside her, Ren Feifei suddenly realized. So, he is her sister's fiancé. When she was at home, she also heard about this matter. Her family had arranged a marriage for her sister. When her sister said she had a boyfriend, the atmosphere at home was a bit dull at that time. This explains why he called out her name all of a sudden. He must have seen the information from their family. Then, her eyes turned unkind when she looked at Wuzi. This guy was actually pursued by her sister after being divorced. Could it be that he thinks his vision is worse than her sister's? I will like the person my sister divorced. Even if Ren Feifei died outside, went blind, or was hit by a car, she would not fall in love with such a person, right? Besides, she already has someone in her heart now. Feeling the sister's mocking and disdainful eyes, Wuzi's heart stomped, and knew that he had just been impulsive, leaving a bad impression in front of Ren Feifei. However, since it has come to this, how can he care so much? Gritting his teeth, he laughed in anger. Okay, I am unworthy, then what are you? Just a kept lover. I don't know when I will be abandoned and have nothing. Ren Shanshan was furious when she heard it, but she couldn't refute it. Everything she has is brought by Shu Liang. It's true to say that he is a lover. At this moment, a voice that makes people feel like spring breeze sounded. How could I abandon Shanshan? You are wrong about one thing. Shanshan is not my lover, she is my girlfriend. Of course, it was Shu Liang who spoke. This good show is over, and it's time for him to appear. Swish. The eyes of the three people all looked at him. Ren Shanshan was extremely moved. She was very clear about her position, which was indeed similar to Chinger. Shu Liang said this to give her face and help her out. She secretly thought that she must give Shu Liang a good answer when she returned. Ren Feifei felt that her brother-in-law was so domineering at this moment. A domineering CEO protecting his wife. It's really cool. He couldn't help but feel a little jealous of his sister for finding such a good boyfriend. Wuzi calmed down from his anger and took a deep breath. What I just said is true. You are indeed about to face a disaster. Oh, Shu Liang looked strange and asked with interest. Why, that look was as if he was watching a clown show. From the fact that this reborn protagonist dared to appear in front of him, he knew that it was not the timeline after he traveled through. This kind of protagonist, like Lin Hao, Mu Bai and Yi Zan, is actually Yilu's stuff. They are all easy to deal with, not much harder than stepping on an ant. What interested him more was, will these protagonists exist in the timeline of Wuzi's rebirth? If so, he should know the other protagonists. It would be interesting to get a list from him. The protagonist has not yet activated the golden finger, and has not yet started the road of pretending to be cool, but he has been imprisoned and sent to the hospital. Are you pursuing Lu Ruolin, the president of Lu Group? Actually, she has a fiancé named Lin Hao. He is extremely powerful and can kill a cow with one punch. His medical skills are amazing, he can cure any disease, and he can be called a genius doctor in the world. Not only that, he is also very talented and can curse people without using dirty words. He also has 3 very powerful masters. Wuzi's tone was full of admiration for Lin Hao, and then he changed his tone. You are pursuing his fiancé. I don't need to say more about what he will do. So what? Shu Liang's expression became more and more weird. Wuzi sighed. These young masters are stubborn, they won't believe it even if they say it, and they are even arrogant enough to not take it seriously. Having a good background means you are not afraid of things. There is no other way, he had to change his tone and settle for the next best thing. Aren't you going to pursue Lu Ruolin? I can help you, and I can definitely make you the beauty. Wuzi's tone was full of strong confidence. In his impression, Shu Liang's pursuit of Lu Ruolin was extremely crazy. He would take any suggestion that he had the chance to. I believe that after he revealed so much information, he was willing to help him pursue the goddess, and he would definitely be stunned by himself. He said he wanted to help him capture Lu Ruolin, but it was just Wuzi's way of diverting his attention from Ren Feifei. In that case, he would have the opportunity to pursue Ren Feifei. At the same time, it also revealed the nature of Shu Liang as a scumbag. Telling Ren Shanshan and her sister in disguise. Did you see it? This is Shu Liang, eating from the bowl and looking at the pot. He is a scumbag, Ren Shanshan regretted it, right? Ren Feifei must not be bewitched by Shu Liang. Of course, this is just his expedient measure. Wuzi has already thought about how to fish in troubled waters, and then surrender directly to Lin Hao. That is the real boss. According to the momentum in 2 years, the Shu family may be overthrown. He must hold on to this thick thigh. As for offending Shu Liang, he is not afraid at all. This guy is a waste, a licker, and he doesn't fight back when he is bullied. This is why he dares to stand up. I do need your help. Shu Liang looked playful. Wuzi smiled as expected when he heard it, and then he heard Shu Liang say, You talk to Brother Liang, and Brother Liang is very happy. But Brother Liang doesn't like your tone very much, so, please break one leg. No problem, give it to, what? Wuzi patted his chest, and soon he reacted, his face full of surprise. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. What does not liking my talking have to do with legs? Without giving him time to think, Hongyi came in front of him without knowing when. Grabbed his clothes and lifted him up like a chicken. What are you doing? Wuzi was in midair, almost suffocated by his collar, and he was horrified. Just as he was about to shout for help, a strong murderous aura emerged, as if strangling the throat of fate. He felt difficulty breathing and couldn't make a sound. Then, the red-clothed man carried him to the alley. With a hard step, a groundhog's howl sounded. Ding! Wuzi has hatred towards you, villain value plus 999. Shu Liang looked at the sisters with a gentle smile. The annoying flies have been driven away. Aren't we going to watch a movie? Let's go. The 2 girls nodded. There was no sympathy for Wuzi. Everything was his own fault. After entering the cinema, Ren Shanshan went to buy tickets. She deliberately gave Shu Liang the ticket for the middle seat, and the sisters sat next to him. When watching the movie, the elder sister fed popcorn and the younger sister handed the drink to Shu Liang. Shu Liang just enjoyed it. It must be said that Wuzi's fantasy came true. Unfortunately, he was destined not to see this scene. At this time, he was lying in a dark alley, doubting his life. The severe pain from his right leg told him that it was not a dream, everything was real. Since his rebirth, his mentality has changed. He always felt that he was different, the protagonist in the novel, the son of destiny. Because he had a god's perspective, he always had an inexplicable confidence when treating others. But reality slapped him in the face. Because he relied too much on foresight, he misjudged Shu Liang's character. In his impression, Shu Liang was a dog who was weak and easy to bully. I thought that even if I couldn't fool him, he wouldn't do anything to me. Who would have thought that he actually let someone break one of his legs? How can he pick up girls in the future if he broke one leg at the beginning? Wuzi's face was extremely ugly. The hatred for Shu Liang in his heart was like a surging river, endless. This matter will not be let go like this. I will definitely pay you back 1,000 times the pain you brought me. After secretly setting a flag, Wuzi stood up tremblingly and limped out of the alley. He came to the side of the road and prepared to take a taxi to the hospital. He felt severe pain in his joints and wondered if he could get the taxi. Just as Wuzi was waiting for the car, a homeless man passed by. He glanced at him casually and retracted his gaze, then turned his head back and looked at the homeless man. He was full of disbelief, wiped his eyes, and blurted out, "Lin Hao." Ha! Lin Hao turned his head in confusion and found that a fool was staring at him blankly. He frowned. "It's really you." Seeing him respond to him, Wuzi was immediately excited. "Just now, I was thinking about how to take revenge on Shu Liang. The best way is to find Lin Hao and ask him to find Shu Liang. I didn't expect to meet him when I turned around. Ha ha ha." As expected of the protagonist, the heavens are helping him. "Who are you?" Lin Hao asked with some confusion. Could this be one of his fans? After all, he is also known as Brother Do. I hope he is not forced by his girlfriend to become his apprentice. "Lin Hao, Brother Lin, I want to tell you something. Do you know your fiancé Lu Ruolin? There is a guy named Shu Liang who is pursuing her crazily. You go and give him a lesson and warn him that not just any woman can rob her." "You're welcome, my name is Lei Feng. If you insist on thanking me, give that guy a good beating for me." Lin Hao's face was extremely ugly when he heard this, and his eyes were full of anger when he looked at Wuzi. He thought Shu Liang had sent someone specifically to tease him. Too much bullying. Is Shu Liang pursuing Lu Ruolin? She was already pregnant even though she had just touched her directly. Now she is even more willing to be a lover and completely surrender at his feet. Seeing Lin Hao didn't respond, Wuzi scratched his head and couldn't help but become confused. In my memory, Lin Hao was very domineering and would rush over to anyone who was unhappy with him. When he heard that someone was interested in his fiancée, he wanted to go up and fight for his life. Although 2.5 years later, I haven't heard that Lin Hao is pursuing Lu Ruolin. "Who are you?" At this time, Lin Hao suddenly asked, his aura erupting. The familiar feeling of suffocation came, and cold sweat broke out on Wuzi's forehead. He immediately told Shu Liang that he had stolen his fiancée and future sister-in-law. He wouldn't talk about something as big as rebirth. He's not that stupid. What if it is exposed and someone drags it into slices? After listening to Wuzi's story, Lin Hao calmed down his aura unconsciously, and his eyes suddenly became much kinder. There was a feeling of sympathy in my heart. This is also a poor man whose fiancé was taken away by Shu Liang. They are both fallen people at the end of the world. Wuzi was so frank, and Lin Hao didn't hide anything. He told everything about his persecution by Shu Liang. He took away his fiancé, and then took down his 2 senior sisters one after another, making him homeless now. Wuzi was stunned after hearing this. What is the situation with TMD? It's completely inconsistent with what I had in mind. Especially when he heard that the extremely powerful Lin Hao was slapped to the ground by Shu Liang, he was even more confused. Isn't Shu Liang a fool and easy to bully? When did it become so fierce? He looked at Lin Hao in disbelief, his pupils shrinking. His hair was messy, his clothes were in tatters, and he had the stench of a homeless person. His face was also a little dirty, as if he hadn't washed his face for a long time, and you could still see eye droppings in the corners of his eyes. In my impression, Lin Hao also dressed in this sloppy way, looking very sassy, cool, and domineering. Only then did he notice that Lin Hao was a real homeless man. Wuzi still didn't believe it. Hearing Lin Hao say that it was on the hot search, he quickly took out his mobile phone. Lin Hao's news was not found, but he found Yizan's hot search first. 50 million demolition, pretending to be bankrupt, testing people's hearts. Yizan lost all his assets by trading in the stock market and was chased by relatives and friends for debts. What's going on? The stock god Yizan actually lost all his wealth by trading in the stock market. It's just a big joke. Wuzi didn't believe it and continued to read the recent news. Soon, another piece of news appeared in front of us. The Mu family of the 10 billion group declared bankruptcy, and the head of the Mu family was so angry that his youngest son vomited blood and died. Mu Bai was accidentally killed by a psychopath in the detention center. The future father of new energy vehicles, worth hundreds of billions, are you telling me that he is dead? It's a mess, it's a complete mess. Wuzi was stupid, his eyes were dull, and his face was full of doubts about life. Rebirth. I'm afraid he might have had a fake birth. Wuzi sat on the ground with a helpless look, like a 300-pound child. No one understood how broken he was at this moment. He thought that after his rebirth, he could easily make money, make friends with big men, and have beautiful women throw themselves into his arms with foresight. From then on, he lived a life of drunkenness and lying on the lap of beautiful women, and ruling the world. What is the reality? The woman he liked was robbed, and he fell deeply in love with someone else. The big men he knew in his previous life, Mu Bai, were killed by a mental patient, Yizan also died in an explosion accident, and Lin Hao became a homeless man. It can't be said that it has little to do with the rapid rise of these three people in his memory, but it can only be said that it has nothing to do with it. He no longer has the mentality of being in a god's perspective and treating everything from a high position. Now, in addition to being confused and unbelievable, he is also a little panicked. A panic that things are beyond control. The reality deviates from what he knew in his previous life. I don't know if there will be any problems with the winery he invested in and the virtual currency he bought. This is the problem he is most worried about. In his previous life, he was just a social animal, and he had no skills at all. These are the two most profitable projects he knows. Once these two projects also change, even if he is reborn, it seems that there is no point. Ding. Wuzi's mentality collapsed. Villain value plus 888. Ding. Wuzi was panicked. Villain value plus 999. Ding. Beside him, Lin Hao saw his lost look and felt very sad. He is still too young. This tolerance is too poor. He couldn't help but feel a sense of sympathy in his heart. He also came step by step like this. Seeing him, it was as if he saw himself back then. Out of this emotion, he kindly sent Wuzi back home, and took out the silver needle to heal his broken leg. Shu Liang said that Hong Yi had done a heavy hand to break his leg, and it was definitely a severe disability level. Lin Hao still used Tai magic needle to heal him. Even so, he still needs to rest for a few days to fully recover. After the acupuncture, Lin Hao was sweating profusely and felt very aggrieved. His medical skills were so amazing that they made the world weep and the gods weep, but they didn't work at all after he came down the mountain. The only time he used it, he didn't cure the patient and ruined the reputation of Chinese medicine. This time, the acupuncture was successful, but it was for a man, and there were no spectators cheering. What's the difference between returning from school and not being able to show off and walking in the night in a brocade robe? Thank you, Brother Lin. Wuzi put down his phone and looked at Lin Hao gratefully. If it weren't for him, his leg would really be broken. Rest well in the next few days and don't walk around. Lin Hao waved his hand. The two looked at each other, and they were full of gay love for a while. Wuzi nodded, and a series of blows made him a little overwhelmed. He felt sleepy and fell asleep gradually. Lin Hao was now homeless and penniless, sleeping in the park like a tramp every day. Since he was at Wuzi's house, he just lived here. A bit bored, seeing the phone still in Wuzi's hand, Lin Hao couldn't help but feel a little confused. Along the way, Wuzi was looking at his phone, and his emotions changed drastically. I don't know what he was looking at. He took the phone curiously, and there were some news inside. Nothing strange. After looking at it for a while, his eyes suddenly lit up. His eyes were fixed on the number 1 on the hot search list. The next stop of the Queen Dongfang Xuanyan's global tour, Magic City. Dongfang Xuanyan, his third senior sister. Since he was kicked out of the house by his 2 senior sisters, he has been homeless. Now seeing that the third senior sister is coming to Magic City, he feels like going home again. Third senior sister, I will definitely protect you and never let you get hurt. Lin Hao clenched his fists, his face full of determination. He would never let the experience of the eldest and second senior sisters happen to the third senior sister. On the other side, the three came out of Universal Studios. Shu Liang was in a good mood. The movie was not in vain. He knew one thing. Ren Feifei's hands were as smooth as her sister's. The two sisters were also very happy. With Shu Liang by their side, they always felt that time passed too quickly. I wish time would freeze at this moment. When Shu Liang proposed to stay at her place tonight, Ren Shanshan was stunned and smiled brightly. Then she couldn't help but feel shy. It was self-evident what Shu Liang was going to do when he went to her place. She secretly glanced at her sister, wondering if her voice would disturb her. Ren Feifei obviously didn't realize the seriousness of the matter. At this time, she was lowering her head, her fingers entangled, and her thoughts were flying. It seemed that she was recalling Shu Liang's slightly cool and warm big hands. At night, Ren Feifei had insomnia as expected. Staring at the ceiling, her face was full of doubts about life. When she woke up the next day, it was already noon. When she came to the living room, her sister was busy in the kitchen, humming a song, obviously in a good mood. Brother-in-law is not here, he must have left. Ren Feifei felt empty inside. Seeing her sister coming out of the bedroom, Ren Shanshan asked with some confusion. Feifei, you are used to sleeping in, this is not okay. There are some early classes in college. Ren Feifei was like a cat with its fur standing on end when she heard this. How dare you say that? If it weren't for you, would I have woken up now? Her tone was full of anger. Ren Shanshan was a little embarrassed. Ah ha ha, the sun is so bright today. She looked out the window and laughed. But where is the sun outside? It was cloudy today, and the topic was changed too abruptly. Go wash up first, the food will be ready soon. Her sister's gaze made her feel guilty, and she quickly slipped into the kitchen after saying that. Ren Shanshan thought to herself that her sister was a little inconvenient at home. It would be nice if she could drag her into the water. As a comrade in arms, she could help share some of the pressure. Shu Liang was more powerful than she could imagine. She couldn't bear it at all. As her eyes flickered, the idea in her heart gradually matured. On the spacious street, a Rolls-Royce was driving smoothly. In the car, Shu Liang was swiping the tablet in front of him, which contained information about virtual currency. Yes, he was preparing to take action against Wuzi. The winery was easy to deal with, just keep suppressing it. According to the original trajectory, the company that suppressed the winery would go bankrupt soon. After no suppression, the winery took off directly, unstoppable. This winery has good potential. Shu Liang is a little interested, but not much. It is not qualified to be included in the Galaxy Group, so he plans to let the Shu Group take over. This virtual currency is a bit troublesome, and the manipulators behind the scenes are several business giants in War Street. But it is only a bit troublesome to deal with the winery, that's all. For Shu Liang, it depends on whether he wants to take action against these business giants and how to do it. Is it to block them in business? Or assassinate these people once and for all? If you snipe in business, it will take some time. Assassination is relatively simple and easy. I don't like trouble, so let's solve the problem from the root. So, he picked up the phone and dialed a mysterious number. Master. The phone was connected, and an extremely respectful and enthusiastic voice came from the other side. I sent you a list, deal with them. Yes. After hanging up the phone, Shu Liang played with the phone, with a smile on his face. It was hard to tell that his order just now determined the life and death of several business giants on Wall Street, plus the professional team of hundreds of people under him. Killing people in a casual conversation is nothing more than this. In fact, he didn't need to do this. There are many ways to deal with Wuzi. He could even transfer all the virtual currency he bought through hackers. But Shu Liang still did it. These business giants wanted to make money in his territory, which made him a little unhappy. More than that, he thought it was a good idea. After dealing with these insiders, he also planned to make a set of virtual currency to harvest the whole world. In front, the red-clothed man who was driving was frightened. Just because she wanted to deal with a small person, she directly killed the person behind the investment in virtual currency. However, she could no longer have a saintly heart. She only had submission to Shu Liang and fanatical worship. Ding-ling-a-ling, ding-ling-a-ling, ding-ling-a-ling. The phone rang. Shu Liang glanced at it and smiled immediately. Lin Hao's third sister is about to appear. After pressing the connect button, a crisp and pleasant voice, as beautiful as the yellow bird, rang. Brother Liang, it has been confirmed that my global tour in 3 days will be in the Magic City. We will finally meet again. Her joyful mood can be heard from her tone. Oh, you want to see me so much? Shu Liang joked. Of course, the global tour is so boring. I want to be with you every day. When I get there, you must accompany me more. Now the relationship between the two is only a layer of window paper away from being a couple. Dongfang Xuanyan said this very naturally. Okay, then you, the thrush, won't be able to escape from my palm. Shu Liang smiled, and his words seemed to have deep meaning. Dongfang Xuanyan understood. Her pretty face flushed slightly, and her heartbeat quickened a bit. HMPH. How can you catch a thrush that yearns for freedom? Then I'll lock her in a cage and raise her into a canary. After chatting for a while. After hanging up the phone, Shu Liang's expression was a little playful. What Dongfang Xuanyan didn't know was, she, the thrush that yearns for freedom, has actually become a canary in her own cage. A few months ago, Shu Liang had just crossed over not long ago. After awakening the system, he considered who to start with first. Eldest sister Chen Zhangjia, who has a strong character since childhood, has worked hard for the revival of traditional Chinese medicine, which is a bit difficult. Second senior sister Sha Qingqiu, who doesn't have the strength to find this thorny rose, is too dangerous. Third senior sister Dongfang Xuanyan is the easiest to capture. At this time, Dongfang Xuanyan was not yet a queen, and she had not yet become popular, but she was somewhat famous in China. Shu Liang created an encounter, and the two met and added each other as friends. He had memories before the time travel, and he could recite countless famous songs and poems at will. Dongfang Xuanyan was a bit of a literary youth, and was immediately attracted by his talent. Through chatting, the two quickly became familiar with each other. Shu Liang struck while the iron was hot and expressed his willingness to give her these songs, provided that she joined his company. Dongfang Xuanyan was a little entangled. The company she was in was the network arranged for her by her master. That was why she could avoid the dark side of the entertainment industry and no one bothered her. Out of her desire for those songs and her recognition of Shu Liang's character after chatting for so long, she agreed. Shu Liang smiled. When she arrived at his company, she was like a turtle in a jar, and he could pose in various positions. He was not in a hurry to take action at that time. One is that he can't get the reward if he forces it, and the other is that he thinks she is not famous enough. When she becomes a queen and her influence spreads to the whole world, he will take her down, and the sense of achievement will definitely be full. After Dongfang Xuanyan joined the company, Shu Liang did not break his promise and gave her all kinds of songs. These things are of no use to him at all. Giving up the status of a top young master and becoming a star singer is too low class. So, keeping them in his hands is completely useless. It is better to give them to Dongfang Xuanyan and let them shine in this world. From then on, Dongfang Xuanyan began to become popular, like the flooding of the Yellow River, and it was out of control. With the support of the Shu Group on the surface and the protection of Skynet in secret, her star journey was smooth sailing. A few months later, under Shu Liang's operation, Dongfang Xuanyan has become famous all over the world. There are countless business giants who want to cooperate with her, but she rejected them all. These giants feel sorry, but they can't do anything. They can't use the ban method to deal with Dongfang Xuanyan like they do with other people in the entertainment industry. The reason is simple, the Shu Group is behind her. It's a good thing they didn't do anything, because the guy who secretly made trouble had already died silently. When Dongfang Xuanyan was popular, her relationship with Shu Liang was also heating up. Now it has reached the point where it will fall down with a push. Shu Liang stroked his chin, his eyes full of interest. The little white rabbit has grown fat, and it's time for him to taste the delicious food. Far away on the other side of the ocean, in a luxuriously decorated villa. On the sofa, a slender figure sat there. She was wearing a sky blue dress, with a dignified and elegant temperament and a beautiful face. Combined with her slightly red face and a smile on her lips, she was so charming. She was Dongfang Xuanyan who had just talked to Shu Liang. She was excited when she thought about returning to the Magic City to meet Shu Liang. Since the two met, she has been deeply fascinated by each other's talent and personality charm. Even the reason why she can have such a big reputation now is mostly because of Shu Liang's help. Hearing that her dream was to stand in front of the screen, he gave her those popular songs and arranged countless resources for her promotion. Hearing that she yearned for freedom and wanted to see the world, he arranged a global tour for her. Shu Liang has been giving to her without asking for anything in return. Dongfang Xuanyan was so touched. What she didn't know was that there is no free lunch in the world. Behind any gift, there is already a price. Ding-ling-a-ling. The phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. Dongfang Xuanyan picked it up and saw that it was her mother calling. A helpless expression appeared on her face. Recently, her mother called her several times, urging her to find a boyfriend. She was a little afraid to answer. How could she find a boyfriend? After meeting Shu Liang, she could no longer tolerate the figure of any man. Once you meet Shu Liang, you will ruin your life. Is there a more perfect man than Shu Liang in the world? The answer is no. There was no before, no now, and no in the future. Suddenly, her heart moved, and her heartbeat slowed down. I wonder if Shu Liang is willing to be her boyfriend. As for her current relationship with Shu Liang, she can say anything and make any jokes. But Shu Liang just didn't break the last layer of the relationship. If Shu Liang didn't say it, she, a girl, would be even more embarrassed. It would be bad if Shu Liang thought she was a casual woman. 8 words are the most appropriate to describe their relationship. Not lovers, but better than lovers. She couldn't help but think of Shu Liang's words that seemed to have a deep meaning just now. Could it be that he would confess to her when he returned this time? Should she agree, or agree, or agree? Then it wouldn't be too much for her to say that he was her boyfriend in advance. As she thought, before she said a few words after the call was connected, the mature woman on the other side sighed. I'm not worried about your career, I'm worried about your lifelong event. When can you find a son-in-law for me? I will die with my eyes closed. Mom, what are you talking about? What's the matter of life and death? Dongfang Xuanyan spat secretly, rolled her eyes, and said with a smile. Isn't it just a boyfriend? I found one a long time ago. Really? The woman's tone was full of doubt. Of course it's true, you still don't believe your daughter. No, Dongfang Xuanyan was furious, but the other party said quickly. Well, I believe you, aren't you going back to Shanghai in 3 days? Bring your boyfriend back to see. If my future son-in-law doesn't come back with you, you don't have to come back to see me, it's settled, bye. Beep beep beep. Dongfang Xuanyan. She was confused. She spoke so fast, and hung up the phone after she finished speaking, not giving her a chance to quibble. Humph. Bring it, who's afraid of who? She waved her fist in dissatisfaction, and in her heart she couldn't help but think of how to convince Shu Liang to pretend to be her boyfriend. She was worried about how to express her thoughts, and pretending to be a boyfriend was a good excuse. Bang bang. At this moment, the door was knocked. Dongfang Xuanyan took a deep breath, calmed down her surging thoughts, and regained her usual dignified posture. Come in. It was her female agent who came in. She is one of the bodyguards Shu Liang arranged for Dongfang Xuanyan. Yes, one of them. She has many bodyguards around her, and there are dozens of Huajin masters. Dongfang Xuanyan is too famous now, and she will encounter a lot of troubles. Moreover, this is a foreign country where shootings happen every day, and she will encounter dozens of waves of thugs almost every day. But they were all solved silently. Even the instigator behind the scenes was uprooted. Within a month, more than 10,000 people died directly or indirectly. Now, except for some young people, there are fewer and fewer people who cause trouble. They all realize that there is a big force behind Dongfang Xuanyan to escort her. Swish. The car stopped in front of a villa. Knowing that Shu Liang was coming, a figure in a maid outfit was waiting at the door early. When he came closer, the little maid called, "Master," obediently. Then she knelt down to help him change his shoes. If people who knew her saw this scene, they would be horrified. The queen of the underworld has become a little maid. Shu Liang stroked her head with a smile in his eyes. Before Dongfang Xuanyan arrived, he first enjoyed her two senior sisters so that they could make a comparison. Time passed quickly. 3 days passed in a flash. During these 3 days, Shu Liang had looked for Chen Zhangjia, but spent more time with Sha Qingqiu. He could feel that the other party had no intention of resisting. A slap in the face, a sweet date. Then the next step was to be nice to her and improve her favorability. Just like Lu Ruolin, this process would be easy, and Shu Liang was not in a hurry. Now, his eyes fell on the direction of the Magic City Sports Center. Dongfang Xuanyan's concert tonight will be held here. Hong Yi drove the car over, stopped in front of him, got out of the car and opened the door for him. On the other side, at Wuzi's house, Lin Hao also set off. He must go to the concert of the third senior sister. In fact, Wuzi also wanted to go, but because of his inconvenient legs and feet, he could only be powerless. Magic City Sports Center. At this moment, there were crowds of people outside. At a glance, it was all heads. These are all Dongfang Xuanyan's fans. There are many male fans and many female fans. The reason why they didn't go in was because Dongfang Xuanyan's concert was too popular and they couldn't get tickets at all. The tickets were snapped up in seconds as soon as they appeared. It was so outrageous. Excited heart, trembling hands, finally waiting for the Queen to hold a concert in our magical city. I have been looking forward to it for a long time. Goddess Xuanyan's singing voice is so beautiful. I can listen to her songs for a lifetime. All the flowers are shaking, and Xuanyan is alone, occupying the small garden. Xuanyan YYDS. Quote. The crowd was talking and shouting. Countless people waved their light sticks and held signs to express their support for Dongfang Xuanyan. In the crowd, hearing that so many people admired third senior sister, Lin Hao showed a proud smile on his face. Glancing at the enthusiastic fans around him, he had no doubt in his mind. If they knew that Dongfang Xuanyan was their third senior sister, they would definitely arouse a burst of envy, jealousy and hatred. Smiling, he started to line up at the entrance. After waiting in line for a long time, when it was his turn, he was stopped by the security guard. Please show me your ticket. ? Lin Hao was stunned, patted his head, and almost forgot about it. Fortunately, before leaving, Wuzi gave him 10,000 yuan. Buying a ticket should be more than enough, right? Security brother, where can I buy tickets? I'm going to buy one now. The security guard paid no attention to him and looked at him as if he was looking at a fool. Lin Hao was a little confused. When he was confused, there was a burst of laughter next to him. Haha, you're laughing so hard. Buy a ticket. There is no ticket buying for the Queen's concert. To be precise, you can't even grab one. There's nothing wrong with it. If it weren't for my quick hands that have been single for 40 years, I would have almost missed it. In order to get the tickets, I practiced 7 times a night, and I almost developed my unicorn arm. Haha, you guys are still too low. I just finished Rhythm Master 100 times, 100 times. Seeing that each of them was exaggerating more and more, Lin Hao felt like a fool. I never expected that it would be so difficult to buy tickets for third senior sister's concert. After looking at the 10,000 yuan in his phone, he gritted his teeth and said, I pay 10,000, who will sell me the tickets? There will definitely be a mixed crowd at third senior sister's concert, so I have to be by my side to protect them to be safe. Although buying a ticket for 10,000 yuan is a loss, as long as you find the third senior sister, you will still be short of money when there are so many people attending a concert. When the time comes, you can have a soft meal and just give him a card, and you will be able to achieve financial freedom. However, after he shouted, no one responded. Instead, it's like watching a monkey who doesn't have internet access at home. Brother, do you know how much the Divas concert tickets are sold for on the market? 50,000 per ticket, which is the kind that has a price but no market. That's right, I still spent 60,000 yuan to buy this ticket. I can't make that much money even if I move bricks for a year, but the thought of meeting the goddess is worth it. Lin Hao was dumbfounded. Sighing helplessly, he looked at the wall of the sports center. It looks like I'm going back to my old job, becoming Spider-Man, and climbing over the wall. What the hell is this? I came to see my senior sister's concert, but I had to climb over a wall to get in. At this time, Shu Liang's car drove over slowly. Seeing the crowds of people in front of him, he smiled with satisfaction. The goal of turning Dongfang Xuanyan into a top superstar has been achieved. He was somewhat looking forward to the program scheduled for tonight. This goddess in the hearts of countless people will kneel in front of him and sing with a microphone. Shu Liang didn't have a ticket, and he didn't need to line up like others. Naturally, someone would come to greet him. I saw several people coming out of the sports center and respectfully welcoming a young man in, which caused a small shock. Some people even took out their mobile phones to take pictures. But when they are posted online, they are quickly deleted. Shu Liang's information on the internet is only what he wants the world to see. Some negative information was deleted as soon as it appeared. This is also the reason why there are so many women around Shu Liang, and there is no information about them on the internet. If he wants to attack other female protagonists, he will naturally not let the scumbag's comments appear. As soon as he stepped into it, Shu Liang felt the killer's aura. Skynet's people have already targeted these killers and are just waiting for the opportunity to kill them one by one. His subordinates will take care of it, so he will ignore it. The concert is about to begin. Backstage, Dongfang Xuanyan is putting on makeup. Sister Li, how do I feel about wearing this? After turning around in front of the mirror, she looked at the agent next to her and asked. The woman named Sister Li smiled slightly and joked. It's just a concert, Xuanyan, why do you take it so seriously? You look like you're going to meet your lover. Dongfang Xuanyan's heart tightened. Was this all discovered by Sister Li? Did you show it so obviously? It's time for the show. In the hall, everyone held their breath. When Dongfang Xuanyan appeared on the stage, the audience burst into cheers. Wow, Goddess Xuanyan is so beautiful, isn't she? Even more beautiful than what I saw on TV. With tears in my eyes, my dream has finally come true. I flew here all night from the imperial capital in vain. Quote. Because Shu Liang was coming, Dongfang Xuanyan dressed up carefully and put on light makeup. Incredibly beautiful, she was wearing a long dress and the spotlight shone on her like a holy fairy. Ignoring the cheers of the crowd, she glanced around and soon landed in one direction. That's where Shu Liang is. Seeing her look, Shu Liang responded with a smile. Dongfang Xuanyan also smiled. This smile is enough to make all flowers eclipse. The concert officially begins. After saying hello to everyone, she slowly sang, Light Chaser. This was one of the songs Shu Liang gave her. She felt that this song suited her mood at this moment. If you were said to be fireworks on the sea, I am the foam of the waves. At a certain moment your light illuminated me. If you were said to be a distant galaxy, so dazzling that it makes you want to cry, I'm chasing your eyes. Always look at the night sky when I am lonely. The beautiful lyrics, combined with her clear and melodious voice, immediately drew everyone into the artistic conception. The sea, fireworks, waves, stars, constitute a beautiful picture. I can follow you, like a shadow dreamwalking after the light. I can wait at this intersection, whether you will pass by or not. Whenever I raise my head for you, even tears feel free. Some love is like the sun falling, you have it and you lose it at the same time. As the song sounded, the audience seemed to see a lonely girl who suddenly fell in love with a boy, but was tactful and cautious in the face of love. They can't help but bring back their own memories. Isn't this the case when facing someone they have a crush on? The singing continued, the hall was quiet, everyone was listening silently. They thought Dongfang Xuanyan sang well, but they didn't know that this was her true feelings. Looking in the direction of Shu Liang, she sang more and more affectionately, as if she had transformed into the girl in the artistic conception. Shu Liang is that boy, illuminating her like a ray of light. Shu Liang smiled. It's done tonight. In a corner, Lin Hao finally climbed over the wall and came in. Listening to the singing, he couldn't help but be immersed in it, secretly sighing that the third senior sister sang so beautifully. Seeing the beautiful figure on the stage, he was fascinated for a moment. Third senior sister not only sings beautifully, but she is also extremely beautiful. No wonder she is sought after by countless people. He suddenly discovered Hua Dian. When Dongfang Xuanyan sang, she did not face the audience, but kept looking in one direction. Following her gaze, Shu Liang's figure appeared in her sight. In an instant, Lin Haoru was struck by lightning. He was very sure that the third senior sister Dongfang Xuanyan was looking at Shu Liang. The affection in those eyes was so strong that it almost melted away. Combined with the song she sang at this time, Lin Hao still didn't understand. This song was sung by third senior sister for Shu Liang. Third senior sister has fallen long ago. Coming to this conclusion, Lin Hao's mind was buzzing as if he had been struck by lightning. The senior sister was in front of him, watching helplessly being taken down step by Shu Liang. The second senior sister lost the bet because of her own carelessness and was forced by Shu Liang. He swore to protect third senior sister and never let her be harmed. As a result, Shu Liang had already taken action. I blame myself for not discovering it sooner. In Lin Hao's view, the three senior sisters were captured by Shu Liang because he was directly or indirectly responsible for it. I fell into deep self-blame for a while. Ding! Lin Hao's mentality exploded, villain value plus 888. Etc. Lin Hao perked up. He found that the third senior sister was different from the other two senior sisters. She did not have that young womanly look between her eyebrows. In other words, she has not completely handed herself over, and Shu Liang has not succeeded yet. Lin Hao suddenly became excited. He still has a chance to save third senior sister. It is certain that she was deceived by Shu Liang's sweet words. But now the look in third senior sister's eyes and the posture she is in are just a matter of Shu Liang's words. I must tell Shu Liang what happened to her senior sister and second senior sister before she takes action. A playful smile appeared in Shu Liang's eyes. He had discovered Lin Hao's existence long ago and made arrangements at the same time. He has not subdued Dongfang Xuanyan yet. If she finds out what he has done, it will indeed be a problem. However, he would not give Lin Hao a chance to inform. Time passes slowly in the beautiful melody and sweet singing. Bang bang bang. When Dongfang Xuanyan's song ended, there was an overwhelming applause in the hall, accompanied by cheers and shouts. It sounds so good, it makes me feel like I'm there, and reminds me of my young and sweet first love. I've never heard it before. Is this a new song from the Queen? It's definitely a hit. Please release it quickly. I love it, I love it. Goddess Xuanyan's first song blew up like this. It was a worthwhile trip. Quote. On the high platform, facing the eyes from all directions, Dongfang Xuanyan was calm and generous, with a smile on her face. Thank you all for coming from all over the world to attend my concert. I believe everyone has guessed it. Yes, this song, Light Chaser, is exactly the new song I am preparing to release. When her voice fell, the hall burst into applause again, and cheers were endless. After Dongfang Xuanyan said a few more words, she glanced in Shu Liang's direction and walked backstage. As soon as she stepped down, several beauties came on stage. A concert cannot be as simple as just singing one song. Dongfang Xuanyan opened the show with Light Chaser, followed by other songs. Of course, the audience cannot wait during the break, and the girl group following her will take the lead. All the members of these girl groups are good-looking, with fair skin, good looks and long legs. But compared to Dongfang Xuanyan, it's still a little worse. According to Shu Liang's idea, he wants to create a girl group composed entirely of female leads in the entertainment industry. In this world where various novels are integrated, it is not impossible. Didn't he just accept a female lead? In the entertainment branch, she is not as famous as Dongfang Xuanyan. I believe that with his training, it won't take long to become famous. Seeing the third senior sister walking towards the backstage, Lin Hao in the corner couldn't wait to follow. But as soon as I arrived at the door, I was stopped by the security guard. Dongfang Xuanyan is changing her clothes and no one can enter. Lin Hao eagerly wanted to force his way in, but was frightened by the aura of the Huajin Grand Master secretly. He was horrified. The third senior sister was actually protected by a master. In desperation, he could only go back the same way and come back after the concert. Time passed quickly, 2 hours flew by in the blink of an eye. Dongfang Xuanyan also sang 10 songs. Each one was mesmerizing to listen to, and until the end of the concert, the audience was still a little unfinished. After the concert it was interview time. A group of reporters and paparazzi came to Dongfang Xuanyan with long guns and short cannons. After being stopped by the bodyguard, they still stretched their necks and raised the microphone. Queen, when will your new song be released? Master Dongfang, how long will you stay in the Magic City this time? Excuse me, Sister Xuanyan. Questions came one after another, and the names were very different. Some people even called the Eastern Cult Master. This title comes from Dongfang Xuanyan's status in the entertainment industry, which no one can beat. There were too many questions and it was impossible for Dongfang Xuanyan to answer them all, so he pointed at a young girl. The little girl was confused and surprised. She didn't even have any hope of interviewing the queen, but she didn't expect that pie in the sky would fall. She felt a little dizzy, nervous and incoherent. Please, Sister Xuanyan, why did you choose Shanghai as your first stop after your global tour? The reporters around were so angry that they beat their chests and stamped their feet, and they were so heartbroken that they couldn't breathe. What a great opportunity to interview Dongfang Xuanyan, but you only asked such a question. Don't you know that the queen's home is in Shanghai? Is it difficult to choose Shanghai as the first stop? In fact, the little girl regretted it after asking it. She was too excited just now and wasted the opportunity to ask a question. However, Dongfang Xuanyan's answer was beyond their expectations. She just smiled and said, the first stop is Shanghai, because he is in Shanghai. Swish. There was a silence at the scene, and after a moment, all the reporters went crazy. Because he is in Shanghai. Who is he? Is he the queen's sweetheart? This is definitely a bombshell. The little girl was also shocked. She didn't expect that a nervous question she asked would blow up such a big melon. She was moved and asked again. Who is the he you are talking about? Does the first song you sang have anything to do with he? The song, Light Chaser, has already expressed my feelings. After a pause, Dongfang Xuanyan continued. As for who he is, keep it secret for now. Hearing this, the whole audience was shocked, and countless people went crazy. You know, this song expresses the yearning for love, tactfully and cautiously. Does that mean the goddess in their hearts already has someone they like, and is still so humble in front of love? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.